gonna send it if wow. First of all, this is the
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
And Lauren Yee,
who is in dark mode at the moment.
Am I here? I hear you.
hello.
Hello, welcome to Brothers Booze. Welcome back, Lauren.
Oh, hi. I was like, I hear you all. I'm stuck.
Don't make us push you out by the cart like you did at the.
Yeah.
I will do my best. I did. Let's see it again. I definitely did not understand what was happening at the beginning.
She's going out the wrong way, so she's going to push her out of the way. That's the.
You're gonna send it if
one morning. One of them got a weaker.
wow.
Jazzy Wars.
So much for that video. There's so much there. I just think that the lady who won got the upgrade on the scooter though.
Yeah, I was like, or maybe there was more stuff in her basket, so she it weighed enough to not go backwards. Maybe momentum.
She had the more horsepower though. There's just no question.
This is true. You got to upgrade.
Y'all, let's go. Speaking of let's go, I am not ready for anything today.
Excellent.
I literally spent hours preparing for today's stream, and I didn't complete it.
Yeah. Hey.
But you know what, Doug? I think that is the theme of this season, which is we're running around doing a lot of things, and with all due respect, some of that shit's not going to get done.
Some of it, best laid intentions, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to get all this stuff done, and you look at the end of the day, and you're like, no.
Right.
Really good hopes and dreams.
Right.
But it doesn't always work out. It is me. I'm here. I'm not in whatever limbo I was in. And I'm back. I feel like I've missed you all. It's been a little bit.
Well, just because you're not on the stream doesn't mean you're in limbo.
Well, in the dark square moment I was.
You were
okay.
there for a moment.
Well, one of the things I didn't get, Doug, is a glass. So I'm going to go do that while y'all talk about the beers that y'all have.
All right. Lauren, you want to go first? Do you have one? And then I'll go next.
I do.
All right, go first.
I actually have one courtesy of you.
What?
And seasonal. I missed the show where y'all were drinking this, and so I got one in my friend mail. And I've never had Mad Elf before, so this is gonna be my first inaugural. I don't know, one.
First foray.
Yes, I was like, it's happening. I was like, do I do this?
It is a polarizing beer.
Well, let's find out. I was like, let's not pour the whole thing and test it first then.
Well, you pour the whole thing. It's probably, I think it's like 11.2%. So just.
Oh my God. You're correct. It's at least 11. I did not, speaking of not prepared, I was like, oh, I'll drink this one. It's seasonal. Yeah. Didn't read anything else. I was like, Doug, give it to me. Seasonal. Let's go.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite seasonal beer. So
it is strong of cherry.
It's supposed to be.
And we'll see. I'm not immediately mad at it, so that feels good.
That's a good start.
Yeah, it was like polarizing beer. Is it going to be good or really bad? I feel like for it being a polarizing beer, it's not as super strong as I expected it to be. Feels very drinkable.
That's the scary part of that beer is if you like the taste, it doesn't drink like an 11% beer.
No, not at all.
Mad Elf. I sent her one.
I got a Mad Elf. I've never had one before, and I missed the show where everyone was drinking it apparently, and I again never had it. So
and almost everybody disparaged it except me.
Well, I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm not mad at it. I'm into it. It danger beer because definitely does not smell or taste or drink like an 11%. Ooh. But I'm back with the big beers on accident apparently. So here we go.
So you keep saying you're not mad at it. Are you making a reference off of the name of the beer, or are you just saying?
I am
don't
not
think you
that
are.
clever.
Yeah,
I am not that
Right.
clever. It just
Yeah.
comes naturally to me. It just happens in my brain, and words come out of my mouth. That was unintentional, but yeah, I think maybe it was that's what happened. I was like subliminal messaging. what
Greg's
was
smacking
happening.
you with the fly swat.
Do you want to flap it at me like that GIF?
How are flies in my house late in December in Wisconsin?
Dude,
Too warm.
we had we had these really vicious fruit flies in our house. By vicious, I mean fruit flies are usually dumb and lazy and they just float around. These would like land on your face.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the
No.
fuck are these things? I've never yeah, it took us like
No.
2 months to get rid of them. It was like crazy.
That
Yeah, and
I
I don't
do
like
not
this-
want.
I don't like to swat them, but if they're going to be in my face, then I have to do something
Kinda
about
have
it,
to.
bro.
You're in my territory.
I'm trying to swat you like Marjorie Green Taylor,
Yeah.
Green, whatever her damn name is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just talking about people that I would like to swat and things that I would love to swat, and I don't get to, and then I have to kill the poor fly. Anyway, I'm sorry. I interrupted a really good conversation with some dumb shit. Doug, did you get to yours?
No, so mine is not a beer. Actually, my wife made this concoction that we found on TikTok, Greg. Yeah, so this is something that I found with this guy who's from the Caribbean. Was like, hey, you got all this leftover pineapple. Like when you cut the pineapple, and you have all the skin left, or the whatever the rind. I don't even know what you call it because.
Yeah.
But you boil it down with fresh ginger. You cut up a bunch of ginger. You throw it in a pot with some water. You boil it down with some sugar. And they call it tea. To me, it's juice, but hey, whatever. So Jill was like, why don't you try that with, you have some cy'all left over. And so I mixed cy'all
Gas.
with
I love the
juice.
Sorrel gas.
Yeah. So, yeah. So
We all know how that show went.
yeah. So, and it went well. And,
So
but,
good.
Oh, it went well.
This is like, so it's like, I said, oh, I'll just try it. It's a Caribbean drink, even though we're Christmassy. But the interesting thing about this one is that because of the cy'all, it has almost like a Christmassy
Like the
mouthfeel
warming
with the ginger and there's a little bit of sweetness of the
cloves.
pineapple. Yeah, cloves in there. So it's almost Christmassy in the taste of it. So very good, very dangerous, very drinkable. So and because this is largely cy'all, this is like, this much cy'all, and then there was a little bit of pineapple ginger stuff. So, but yeah,
That
excellent, and it's super easy to make. That juice, it's tasty, man, really good. Greg, what about you? What do you got?
Sorrel goes with a lot though, and it's so versatile, and it is just so underrated, and it's so underutilized. Y'all need to catch up.
Yeah,
we know.
And our guy Jackie has been just fucking going to town with like how well that's doing, and we're all pretty proud of him and happy that we're friends with him. So
won't be underrated for long.
Yeah, and it's about time we talked to him about being on the stream again too.
Yeah, I think we do.
So
he's a busy man now, so we'll see if we can actually get him on.
We'll see.
We have literally nothing booked for the whole next year at this point, y'all. So
Yeah, we got some
Some open dates.
pokers in the pokers in the fire. Yeah.
Some open dates, like 54 of them, but that aside. 52. I always forget that.
Bonus. They're bonus dates.
Yeah, a Berliner Weiss
Ooh.
rub.
Oh.
From
Is that from Venture or Red? Is it Venture?
Yes, that's Venture.
Yeah.
With apple and amaretto, so it's like a Berliner Weiss apple cider.
Like a Berliner Weiss, but yeah, that's an interesting combination. I'm being curious.
I had it while and I had it while you were talking about yours.
Yep. So,
and it's tardy, but it definitely gives off that apple cider feel, and that's a lot. Apple cider is this time of year. I think that apple cider kind of ends like people want it to end kind of like Thanksgiving. Apple cider is more like Halloweeny, Thanksgiving-y. Halloweeny. Yes.
Yeah. But you get the apple cider. It can be like in the Christmas realm, if you think of it in this sort of the spirit of, you can make it like mulled wine. You can heat it up.
True.
So you can do that same kind of thing. So yeah,
I think it absolutely deserves deserves to be around Christmas. And apple pie is a Christmas dessert.
Yep.
So why not apple with a little amaretto? And it's very nice and light. And what's not very nice and light, Doug, is, now I'm not trying to go down the rabbit hole because we have a fabulous guest and we need to get her on. Okay, so don't go down the rabbit hole when I say this person's name. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it on point because we could talk about this motherfucker for hours, actually, but we are going to keep it on point because I have a specific thing to say. This motherfucker, Elon Musk, has pushed me to the point, Doug, where I'm not sure that I want this stream going on his shitty platform. It's bad enough that I am enthralled and almost addicted. And it's funny because I was talking to our guest about being addicted. I am enthralled and almost addicted by Twitter Spaces. I can't stop listening to them. It doesn't even matter what kind of Twitter space it is. I'm just on one most of the time. I don't. Y'all want to know one of the things about me is that I don't carry my phone around. Now I'm literally carrying my phone around, so I don't miss the house. I usually just put my phone away and then just do all my business on the desktop. I'm carrying my phone around when I'm walking around, working with the boys. Twitter Spaces, I can't. I'm almost like neglecting my family before Twitter Spaces. So this is how much I love them, Lauren. Yeah, I need an intervention, maybe, but Elon is helping because last night he got on the Twitter Space, got his panties in a bunch in like 2 seconds. Then he got mad, and then he literally shut down all the Twitter Spaces for 18 hours or some bullshit like that, Lauren. He just literally cut it off. It wasn't an option in the it wasn't like it's a tab if you go in the Twitter thing. It wasn't a tab. People just got kicked out. Some people were banned. Some people still aren't returning. And this is a whole hot mess, and I'm just fucking tired of him. So I was just going to not stream our stream to Twitter. It goes out on Doug's feed now. That's new, but it always goes out on mine. And I just wanted to ask Doug live so we can have a conversation about it real quick, whether we should just continue to go there because we go to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We're in all other places, and most people don't really engage with us at Twitter, even though we do get hundreds of followers a week there, or hundreds of views there weekly. So I just wanted to talk to Doug about that. Doug has his own personal stream, so he can do whatever he wants, and he's full well and barely doing it, and so am I. But I just wanted to ask Doug about this. Where he fit. Is there a line, Doug, that you want to cut this off? What do you feel about the whole Elon thing? Really, really quick so we can get Whitney on.
Well, I just have I actually said to my wife this morning, I'm like, I might have to leave Twitter. Like that thing where the thing with the Twitter Spaces, and this is going to be a quick summation because we're 15 minutes in, we didn't bring our guest on yet, but
Sure.
So he jumped on this Twitter Space where a bunch of reporters were in his Twitter Space talking about the fact that he had banned all these liberal leaning reporters because he said they were giving out his private location because of this Elon jet thing where this teenager made an account which basically takes all the public information on his travels and posts it immediately when he gets on a plane. It's
public information.
It's public information. Like it just fucked up. And he said, no, you violated his rules of service. And these people hadn't given the location. They were just talking about Elon jet. And that's all it was. And he banned them. So he went on there and he just sounded like a freaking loon for about 5 minutes, jumped out of the chat.
It wasn't even that long.
And just killed all the Twitter Spaces. So,
right.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm almost there myself. And like you, I love Twitter. That's probably my most used social media platform because I like how fast and quick and all that shit. I just like that stuff, attention span nonsense. So, yeah. So I don't know. You and I want to discuss that offline about what we want to do about that.
Right. So just so y'all know, though, just like everything on Twitter is precarious. So catch us on YouTube or Facebook. That's the easiest way out.
The link tree.
Right. There's a link tree. Right. But if you don't see us in 2 weeks on Twitter, that is why. Or if you just have to bump over to Doug's or you have to bump over to mine, is this a precarious situation? We're in it now. But what's not precarious, Doug, I love my segues. I've learned to be a little bit better with them.
Nailing it.
Is our guest. She's not precarious. I don't even know what precarious.
Hopefully not precarious. That would be bad.
Right. Okay, cool.
Hopefully she's not hanging off a cliff.
Okay, cool. I got that one right, even though clearly I'm not. Okay, so I guess precarious is this, right? This is precarious. We'll talk about it with Whitney, but I didn't even get to talk to you. Have y'all seen any chaos out there? I'm done my Christmas shopping. I was done at Thanksgiving. So I'm not out shopping, but I just wanted to see if y'all, eventually we could talk about what y'all saw that was precarious out there with Christmas shopping. But what's not precarious is our fun and fabulous and smart and witty guest that Lauren has wonderfully served up to us like a friend does. She's like, yo, I got the best guest for you ever.
Good people.
Well, she didn't say that. I said that, okay? And I was like, this lady sounds amazing. Costume designer, the credentials. If y'all saw the post today, I mean, her credentials is out the window as far as what she's worked on, her experience. What's up, Doug? You have a
I'm just agreeing.
Okay, cool. And it's just like, and as a movie lover and as a pop, Doug's a movie lover. He's a streaming lover, and as Lauren and I love pop culture. So movies always twine themselves into pop culture, the predator pop culture. So we have a lot of admiration for what Whitney does and who she is, and just I think it's just fucking fabulous how she can work with all these different people. I think it's weird how she always has to apply for jobs, even though she's so experienced and credentialed. But that's just part of the whole system and how that works. Every movie that comes up, people have to work it, and then people they have to apply and all that. And it's just fascinating to me that she still has to do this. So without further ado, I will stop talking. We will bring on our friend. She's not just yours anymore, Lauren. You don't have to share. Okay. Lauren shares. That's one of the beautiful things. I'm a good sharer. And Doug shares too. That's why Lauren has that elf stuff. I'm glad you like it, Lauren. It's just too much. But what's not too much is Whitney Anne Adams. And we want to thank her for joining us.
Yay. Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you so much for that amazing intro.
Yeah. That's cool, Whitney. But actually, one thing that is too much is how many damn movies you've seen this year.
I know. Do you want to take a guess how many movies I've seen this year?
New movies you've seen.
Or just in the theaters? Or what are we talking about?
Just watched this year.
Period. Even if it was like an old movie that you watched. Oh my God. I feel like whatever I'm gonna say that I need to add more, and I'm having struggles.
I'm gonna go with 250.
My one caveat is keep in mind that when I'm working, I cannot watch a single movie. So there are big chunks in time that I do not watch anything.
Why? You just don't have the time?
Yeah, no time. Oh, okay. 18-hour days, and this last job I had 3 days off in 3 months.
This like 400.
Oh, you believe so well in me. Only 101. 101
oh my God.
Year.
Oh, like the Dalmatians.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Was that intentional?
No, I literally finished logging them today, and I was like, "Oh, 101. That's a nice number." But I brought my stack of screeners home with me, so I have a lot.
There will be more. This year is yet to be over.
Yeah,
but exactly. So far this year, I think that this is the first time there could be more.
Yeah, you could get 250 if you really try.
Yeah,
that's true. I think this is the first time I ever overestimated the movie watching that Winnie's ever done, because I was like, no, there has to be here. I don't know.
What's up, Greg?
Yeah, Whitney, do you know how many are in the theater as opposed to at home?
Oh, that's a very good question. I probably could count pretty quick, but I'd say I've seen about 25 or 30 in the theaters.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. And this evening we're going to ask y'all, who by y'all, I mean Doug and Whitney, who are the movie watchers on the panel, and Lauren and I don't have the attention span for that shit. So, I boiled it down, Lauren. We can talk about it. But no, we're going to talk to y'all about your top 5 coming up here. but it's I forget. I had something to say, Doug. In my old age, just dropped it out of my head.
I do have a fun fact. So I'm in my childhood bedroom. I flew home to my parents' house yesterday, and the lovely yellow walls here, Lauren helped me paint a million years ago when we were in high school.
Does that mean we have to rate the room?
I know
It does.
It's a new room.
Don't rate my childhood bedroom.
Doug is right. Doug, you are correct. So
I will give it a 9 because you had Lauren do it years ago to help you. How cool is that? That's nostalgia. So that gets a lot of points.
It was plain white, and Lauren helped me paint it, and we got covered in paint by the end of it. It was very fun.
Lauren needs to recuse herself from this conversation.
I don't get to.
She's part of it.
Intertwined. I'm so sorry.
I'm going. Even with the Lauren bump, Doug, I'm still going to. Y'all gonna probably be harsh on me, but I'm going to only give it an 8 because I need a little bit more back there. I need a vase. I need a vase or something unique to bump it up to 9. But I kind of understand Doug's. I understand Doug's reasoning. I'm not going to argue. Right. I'm not going to argue with Doug's reasoning. So, yeah. And then what is that? A monitor? It's kind of
monitor. In my childhood days, this wall was all covered in photos from the movie Moulin Rouge. Like this entire wall was pictures of Ewan McGregor, Jude Law, Keanu Reeves, and Moulin Rouge. Was this whole wall?
Matrix.
And the Matrix.
Nice. So before we get to the top 5, we're going to do the top 5, and then Lauren and I will disappear for a little bit and let y'all wrangle over that, and that'll be fun to watch. But before we get there, so Whitney, as a person who works in the industry and knows all the goings on, and we are, is it safe to say that we are post-COVID in the movie theater world or realm? Meaning it's not really affecting us or affecting your profession as much as it was obviously in 2020 and 2021.
Actually, our rules are still the same from 2020 when we started filming. So there's a little bit of things that's more lax, but like we still have to wear a mask everyone on set. We're still testing every person 3 times a week. We're still doing all the protocols. We're still about spacing. And so all of our protocols are still in place, however many years in now we are. So because if someone gets COVID, the whole movie shuts down and then they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, while we wait to restart. So it's really a money thing at the end of the day, is keeping, everyone healthy so you can keep making the movie.
Okay. So that leads me to say that leads me to ask as a veteran movie, obviously professional, but more importantly for this conversation, watcher and enjoyer, how do you think 2020 has, before we get to the top 5, and I'm going to ask Doug the same thing, how do you think 2022, as far as like the collection of movies goes, overall, how is that, how does that rate up against, some of the, the past years? Was it a good year for movies? Was it a blah year for movies? How did you feel? I know you love music, so you're like, you're probably going to say it's all good, but you know what I mean? Like, kind of put it in structure. Yeah.
So this was at the top of the list, like a banner year for horror movies. Like this was probably one of the best year for horror in decades. So that's what's really, really exciting. It's like one of the most amazing years for horror. Like so many incredible movies, like running the gamut from, long running franchises to indie films. So that's been really exciting to see, especially because I make a lot of horror movies and I love watching horror movies. And in general, I think it's been a really solid year, but the film industry is going through a lot of transitions right now because it's trying to figure out what the future is because of, streaming has changed the landscape and people are going to the movie theaters less. And so I think there's always going to be the market for going to the movie theater, something like Avatar, seeing that in all of the HD 3D magnificence, but these smaller films, they get to their audience better if they are released on streaming. So really, I think the whole industry is trying to figure out the right way forward. So it's kind of in a weird transitional space. It's kind of uncomfortable for everybody because you want people to be treated fairly, because the thing about streaming is it eliminates a lot of, residuals for cast and crew. And so you're really paying people less to do all the streaming stuff. So it's kind of hard to balance, and it's kind of been a roller coaster in terms of the industry as a whole. Yes, money, money, money. Yes.
Doug?
I think I agree with Whitney. The horror genre this year has been pretty bonkers. I didn't get to see nearly as many as I wanted to. I have a thing with watching movies. My problem is, before I go, I just saw Whitney pull a drink and we didn't even ask her what she was drinking. What are you drinking? Oh
So
my God.
I have to.
Horrible.
No.
That's my fault.
No,
Too excited to chat.
Okay.
So I have a couple caveats. I flew here yesterday, and since I landed, I've been in a mixture of a lot of union work and interviewing for a job. So I've had zero time to get. So I have pulled from my parents' cupboard a Corona. So that is what I'm having right now.
Hey.
And I love, I think I have something. I'm gonna go rummage around and see what else exists. But so I'm like, what do my parents have? So Corona.
Yeah,
Very nostalgic vibes.
Yeah, if I was at my parents, it'd be like Rolling Rock, and that's about it.
Right.
So just bad beer, but that's for me. All right, so I just to circle back here with the horror genre. I think there's some movies you and I also agreed that were on our top 5 that were horror movies that I didn't get to see as many. Like, I know a little bit about some of the examples. Like what I thought was interesting, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but like the idea of they released a movie called X, and then this year they're also releasing a movie, or is it early next year, is the origin story of the killer from X. So they're releasing it in this like really tight time frame.
And it already came out. Yeah, it's already released.
What was
it?
What was it called? Was it called
Pearl.
Pearl. I can't remember. Pearl.
Are they the
yeah.
same
They
studio?
filmed it back to back. They filmed it literally right after. They came up with the idea for the prequel while they were filming X, and then just rolled into production.
Yeah, it's a
straight into it.
I haven't seen either of those, and that I have to, because those seem like
awesome.
really up my alley. So,
yeah.
But yeah, as far as other movies, I think it was a pretty solid year. I think a lot of like things like movies that I thought that would look really good came out a lot later, like Tar. I want to see with Kate Blanchett. That looks phenomenal, and that's not a horror movie. One of my kids did see The Dinner, which is something I really wanted to see with Ralph Fiennes, but I
The Menu.
The Menu, not the dinner. The menu.
Yep.
The Menu.
It's phenomenal.
So yeah, there's been some really interesting movies, and so I think it's been a good year. There's certain years, like I was listening to a podcast where they talk about the year 1999 and the year of the movies in that year. It's just like you look at the list of the movies in that year, it is stunning just how many fantastic movies came out that year.
There's a great book about the year of movies 1999, and there's an amazing book about it, and that I've listened to like twice now, because it really was the biggest banner year for films kind of ever.
Yeah.
It changed the landscape of filmmaking.
Yes. So I agree with Whitney. Again, I don't watch as much as she does, but I keep my eyes out for what I want to watch. And yeah.
Lauren, you want to jump in, or I got another movie question?
I have very little to add to this conversation. I love movies and I don't watch them enough. So I rely on people like Doug and Whitney and my other friends to be like, oh my gosh, this one was amazing. And I was like, okay, I will actively try to make time for that. Because like I do enjoy movies, but it's also just like, okay, the focus and the time, and am I going to a theater or what's happening? So I have seen, I think I went to like the Wikipedia page of like 2022 movies, just like scroll, and I was like, I think I've seen like 3 of these. So I have very little contribute, but I do like hearing about it. I always am like, oh, I've heard of that one. I've heard great things. So I always like to know what people do like or don't like, spoilers or not. But I have less to say about them because I haven't seen most of them yet.
Yeah, and it's fun because I say I'm not a movie person. I'm not really, but see, next week, y'all, it's time for me to mention Brothers of Booze will have no stream on the 23rd. And the reason, Whitney, is I think you're going to like it. The reason is because of a damn movie, actually. One of the movies that my family loves, and again, it's rare to get 4 people to agree in this house on anything, but we love Knives Out. And Knives Out Glass Onion comes out the 23rd. So when Lady gets home from work, We will all be enjoying that with snacks, and we have a party
It's
planned.
so good. It's phenomenal.
Stop.
You're gonna love it. It's
Another
so
one.
good.
I have
It's
not
so
watched
good.
it, but I've heard great things about it already.
It's amazing.
So we're stopping everything for that movie.
Yay.
We don't do it for any other movie. I can't get my family to sit down for anything, really. And I saw Knives Out like one late night at like, it was like past midnight, and I'm like, I'm hearing too much about this damn movie. I just need to watch it. And it's like old school, Lauren, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the first one was old school, like mystery and all that. And it just grabbed me so much that I'm like, look, y'all are going to sit down and watch this. And they were sick. My boys are 16 and 18. So I was like, this is a perfect like introduction into the whole mystery genre, which I think, in my opinion, from what I know about movies, it's kind of like gapping. It's kind of like Porter's, Doug, where like it's old school, but yet not many people, I don't feel many people are like into it like they used to be, but it's just an old school style that, you know what I mean? Like people respect, but there's not am I right about that, Whitney? It doesn't seem like there's that many of these type of movies out there.
And because of when Knives Out first came out, I feel like there's a lot more of the mystery happening now. So it's sort of starting to ramp up again, which is, hey, great for me because it's one of my favorite genres ever.
Yes.
I read tons of mystery novels. I love mystery movies. I love all of it. So
right.
I hope you enjoy Glass Onion. The same costume designer did Glass Onion who did Knives Out. Her name's Jenny Egan. She's amazing, and she's getting some awards recognition, which is doesn't happen for modern movies very often. So I'm very excited for her and the movie.
And I'm a fan of Janelle Monáe, and
she's amazing.
She's an amazing actress. She's an amazing. Her music is awesome. I don't know if anybody's ever heard her music. Awesome. And I see she's already won a bunch of awards, so I'm like, I'm already looking at her side-eyed going into this. I don't even know anything about the plot, but as you can see, we're excited, or at least I'm excited. That's awesome. And my family is generally excited. So I may not be a big movie person, but I'm big enough that we're going to shut down Brothers and Booze because Doug was ready to roll, and I was like, man, my family doesn't want to wait until after our stream to start the movie. So we're gonna take one for the family and have a good time, and come on Christmas Eve, as I like to call it. And then Christmas Eve, Lauren, it goes, you can keep doing that for like days. It's
challenging after a while. You gotta you gotta pull out the fingers for canting.
Well, I started this with my son because my son's birthday was 2 days ago, or yesterday. So then before his birthday was Damon Eve, is what I called it.
Oh, nice. I mean, everything can have an Eve.
So then today was post Damon, but that doesn't have the same energy.
No, different vibe. Definitely a different vibe.
So anyway, that aside, I'm not sure how else we set up our top five, but
so before we get to the top five, I have a question for all of you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Doug. You did. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So there was what brought this on was I watched the show Kindred, which is on Hulu based on an Octavia Butler novel. And I had never read the book. I just started reading her books, and they're amazingly written. And one of my friends' wife had read the book and started watching it and got big mad because they took a lot of liberties with the story. If you have read a book and you see the movie and it doesn't stick to the book, are you mad at the movie?
I want to hear everyone else first before I chime in because I have specifics.
It's your job.
Yeah.
Lauren?
You first.
Oh, me?
So,
it doesn't matter. Anybody goes.
I'll start. Okay, so I feel like I've mentioned this on our stream a handful of times before, but I actually am part of a based on a book club, which we will read or listen to a book that also has a movie or a TV show or like multiple movies. Like we did like Frankenstein at one point, which has like anything or like
that's a lot of derivatives.
Yeah, there's like or like Dracula, and you're like, oh my god, there's so many. But there's also like the one-to-one things, and I think that it's interesting because. It depends because I feel like oftentimes when there's a really good book, it's really hard to make a really good movie because there's so much nuance and like monologues that you can't necessarily have. But sometimes there's like a really terrible book that makes a really interesting movie because they can take liberties. Every so often you get one that like ends up being both art feel good. So I think it's hard to like generally saying, I don't know if I have a general vibe. It's like, how do I feel about the book and how much liberty they take? But I understanding the fact that like it is hard to translate certain things, or how much focus is on something like, oh my God. Recently we did American Psycho. It was a lot. Oh my God.
How did you read that? Or because that is a
well, we went less. I mean, I don't love gore, but gore is, I'm more okay. I don't like the like psycho thriller, like psychological that's gonna like trip you up at 2 a.m. when you're by yourself and it's dark and there's noises. I don't like that horror. So I was like, this is not my favorite, and it's very aggressive, and they say hard bodies like 1,000 times.
That's
but like that book,
baby. That's it.
but like the book has so much description of like outfits and the leather shoes and like the food and like how to translate that to a movie. Like it's a totally different thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I'm not necessarily mad, but if you really love a book, you might have to like do some meditative moments on what the movie can be, just because of capability. So like that's my non-answer answer of like, I feel like it usually one of them is bad. So yeah, that's mine.
Greg.
What was the question again, Doug? So I can put it in the right context.
Yeah. So if there's a movie based on a book and you have read that book, and the movie doesn't stick to the book, are you mad at the movie? Like my son gets furious at movies that are not identical to what the book
That's
is.
not what the character did.
Yeah, he gets very mad about that. So I'm just curious.
Okay, so couple things here. I think it depends on what comes first, the movie or the book. So the reason why do I say that is because the one I'm thinking about the most and the one that just hits me all the time is Misery. Now, Misery, the movie, I saw it and I was like, oh, this shit's crazy and this shit's pretty good and it's really great. Then I read the book and I was like, oh no, this book is amazing and this book is great. And what the fuck were they doing with that movie? So, and then once you realize it, though, you realize that some of that stuff was just not for the movie. The running over part with didn't she run him over with the damn the grass, the rowing, the riding grass cutter thing, and yeah, there was the book was intense. The movie was intense too. But like it wasn't the same. So that to me is kind of part of it. Like, so if you go I think it's easier to go from the movie to the book than the book to the movie. And I think it's just because you can just describe and then your imagination runs away with it. And a book is where your imagination takes over and where you can fill in a lot of those things that the movie just says, here, this is our interpretation. Your interpretation of the book could be this, it's just different, and they get this, books can be more subtle. So it's always like what I would tell your son is probably always going to be a letdown from the book to the movie. And you just almost have to just deal. So do I get mad at it? No, Doug. I understand the limitations that the movie basically has. And it's a limitation that I don't know if it could ever be really what's the word? Hurdled or jumped. Yeah, especially if the book is, someone brilliant like Stephen King, who's been doing this forever. The dude's brilliant, whether you like his politics or not, whether you like his genre or not. What he does is great, and how he does it is great. So it's just really a lot of pressure when that person is pumping out the movie to do that. But that's what did they say, Whitney? That's how it goes, or that's the business. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You don't get, it's not for the faint of heart. So, you know what I mean? You're going to get criticized for your stuff. So, yeah, Doug, I think it's kind of, there's a couple factors in there. But like mostly, though, it just is what it is. Like, it's just not, I don't think it's ever really going to be where the movie beats the book. And maybe y'all could tell me I think that there are probably very few though. Like one hand, you could probably do the books, but the movie's better than the book, and then the rest is just going to be a landslide, from my opinion, from what I see. But I'm not experts like you and Whitney, so we'll go to Whitney right now.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts, but I am in Lauren's book club, and it's such a fun book club to, especially I love talking about movies all the time. So especially that overlap. I loved when we did Emma, because the new Emma movie that came out is one of my favorite Jane Austen adaptations. But I will say that, so I've done 2 movies that were based on books. Literally the movie I just finished designing is based on a book. And so I just recently had this experience of adapting a book. And the book is called, it's a long title, it's called The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat. And it's about 3 Black women from their birth to throughout their whole friendship. So it takes place in 1950, 1968, 1977, and 1999, and living in Indiana and going through like that time and how their friendship ebbs and flows and sort of the roller coaster of life. And it's one of the most like beautiful books that I've read. And I read it for this project. I must have read it like 10 times, and I made a spreadsheet and I pulled out every visual reference from the book because I wanted to try to be as accurate as possible to these characters. But the problem is, adapting a book to a movie, you have to change so much and you have to cut so much because the book is so long, and like there's so much we had to cut from the book just for practicality's sake, for our budget, for like locations, for X, Y, and Z. There's like 1,000 different factors that come into play when you're making a movie. When you're writing a book, it's one author and whatever they can dream up on the page. But when you're actually putting it into a visual world, like a physical world, there's so much you can't do. And there's only so much you can fit into it. And the other movie I worked on, I was the assistant designer of The Great Gatsby. So, adapting a famous novel and putting into that, like everyone's going to have an opinion about Gatsby. And like, I'm a designer who is like, if you like it, great. If you hate it, well, great. Like have an opinion. I'd much rather you have an opinion than not have an opinion. I'd rather you say, I absolutely hate it and it made me feel strong feelings than to be like, oh, that was something, So I'd rather have those big reactions. And like Gatsby, I did the same thing. I pulled every visual reference out of the book. I read it 40 times. I wanted to make sure I pulled everything that we possibly could so we could be as true as possible to the book. But you just have to change things depending on like when an actor is cast, how much money you have for a particular costume, all of these different factors that go into it. So it's quite an interesting challenge, but the movie is always going to be super different. It just is. And you have to, and whether people accept it or don't accept it, it's like up to them. But it was such a fun challenge to, design a movie based on this amazing book. And I want to shout out my friend Nikki Smith, who designed the pilot of Kindred. She's amazing. So.
Yeah, that show was excellent, but it was an interesting question, and I thought I'd ask because it's one of those things that can be really sticky depending on what you're doing.
And I start one more. The American Psycho, like I love the movie much more than the book, and then they made a Broadway musical that I'm obsessed with. So I love the American Psycho Broadway musical.
I don't think I knew or remembered that.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
Doug, this is not the conversation, but I do want to throw this out there. We don't have to go down the rabbit hole, but I think it's much easier, Doug, for you to adapt a TV series or movie out of a video game like your boys did with Halo. And I know that you liked, you love the game and you love the TV show, and it just seems like it's kind of, maybe it's because it's visual and it's just less of like intense descriptions like, Whitney says that you get out of a book, then, you know what I mean? Because you see now, I don't know if you saw this now, there's God of War, Doug, TV show, there's Last of Us TV show. Amazon's jumping in hard with this. I don't know if y'all noticed that. The video game genre. But they're also jumping,
amazing. Yeah.
They're also jumping in books hard with what's that one that I like? What's that one? Reacher. So you're seeing a lot of them bringing Reacher to life. Reacher was already brought to life by Tom Cruise, but a lot of people didn't like that version. But people complain about Reacher though too, so I've seen it. Like true to the book. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you're going to do. They had they had 13 shows to do a book, which is usually, which is a lot more, Whitney, than a movie, right? Like 13 shows would be wonderful for you, wouldn't it? To tell a book story.
Exactly.
And people were still just not making that connection. Like, the book is much better. Get the book. And I'm like, the TV show is pretty damn good though. So.
And
yeah.
I will have to say that there's definitely plenty of movie adaptations of books that I loved that I totally hated. And I was like Ready Player One, I'm obsessed with that book and I absolutely hated the movie. So it's just really interesting.
That was what I was going to mention.
But I know so many people love the movie. So it really comes down to personal preference. And I'm okay with that. Like if people, hate the Gatsby movie I made, so be it. But if they love it, great. At least we made it for that person.
Sure.
Oh, and
was that made for you, that beer?
This was not. This was something I cellared. Merry Monkey. So it's a Golden Monkey Christmas derivative. So it's a Belgian style ale with cranberry, orange peel, cinnamon, and nutmeg. The normal Golden Monkey is Belgian ale with orange peel and cinnamon. So their Christmas variant was this. This was from last year. So I like Golden Monkey. It's a dangerously good beer because, like the Mad Elf, it drinks really smooth. Like Belgian ales in general are a higher ABV, but don't drink like it. So this one was, I'm trying to see how much the ABV was on this. 10%. That was a year ago. So whether or not that translates,
right? Lauren and I wow.
but if you look at the color of it, it's not dissimilar to what Lauren had, but Lauren's had cherry and this has cranberry.
Oh, a little darker, yeah. Lauren's a little darker, but yeah, they both look real. The one on top looks really pretty.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bit malty, so that got a little bit long in the tooth. So
the hops fell out.
Yeah. So thankfully, I thought that might happen, so I have two other beers with it. I was like, this might suck, so I'm going to keep this over here just in case. So that did not age well. So that's a shame, but that happens sometimes.
It happens. Right. Whitney, we have a question for you.
Yeah. I don't think I've read any books that could be perfectly adapted to make a movie. I mean, there's plenty of shorter books that you can make a really good adaptation of. It's just, for me, the hardest part is trying to catch that narrative or the internal monologue is so hard to capture. You can't do it. And one of my favorite book adaptations was Gone Girl. I think that was adapted so beautifully into such a great movie. But again, really depends on personal preference. It's such a sticky subject that a lot of people have strong feelings about all of that. And so it's really hard to adapt a book, really difficult.
I'm gonna say real quick, I hadn't seen Gone Girl. It's one I've been wanting to watch, and I just never get to it. It kind of drives me nuts because I want to see it. I think for me, the best adaptation was actually that I thought was actually better than the book, which is hard to do, was Fight Club. Fight Club book. The book itself is 200 pages. It's short. It's thin, and it's a good book. But that movie is you can watch it 50 times, and every time you watch it, you're going to think something completely different about it. It's just, and even Chuck Palahniuk, because the guy who wrote Fight Club, said that the movie was better than the book.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And Ready Player One. I got what they were trying to do. The problem is Ready Player One is so chock full of 80s references. The book is 50% 80s references and not it's great, but you can't fit that into a movie. There'd be no way the movie would be 80 hours long. It would be
I probably should just have not watched the movie. And also with the problem is there were so many IP properties that you just can't it would be a clearance nightmare. I mean, that's why I think, Spielberg was in charge of it, because at least he could get so much of that cleared. But one, the modern audience is not going to understand a lot of these 80s references. And two, it's just too hard to clear all those names. So I get why it was changed. I just,
and I will say the worst adaptation I think I've ever seen, and it actually made my wife so angry. She was swearing as we walked out of the theater, was the Dark Tower movie.
Oh,
it was. You really like that.
I love the book.
Your soul though, right?
Well, I have a freaking Dark Tower tattoo on my arm. I love that book. And that movie, that movie was just not not it. Like, not even close. That's the thing, is it wasn't even like the main character has this. He's one of these characters. He's driven by one goal. That's his goal, and nothing gets in his way at all. And in the movie, he doubts his goal, and that doesn't happen through 7 books. So, like, just even something as simple as that is making him question his goal was like, that is not that character, and it just kind of really soured the rest of the movie. And weirdly, Idris Elba was the main character, and he actually wasn't the right character for that guy. Mm-hmm. Matthew McConaughey was fucking awesome in that movie. That was the only redeeming quality of that movie.
Good, yeah. At
Go
least
back to your very original question, Doug. Was like, if it angers you when the movie and the book like don't match up or something like that. I think it really comes down to how aggressive of a pendulum swing away it is, right? Because if you're like, wow, that's like, they're a big name actor, but they are not good for this role. Or like, if like, I think some people were like, that character didn't exist, or like that thing of like, they never questioned their goal, but they are now in the first 5 minutes, and like that feels foundational, that it's like those kinds of things are like angering. And I feel like maybe it could still be a good movie, but if I know the book and something swings that far away early, especially, I'm like a little on edge and already being like, okay, movie, show me what you got. Like, I'm a little bit like,
I'm a little concerned.
I'm a little bit like more ready to fight it. Depending on how early and how aggressively different something is. So it depends.
Whitney didn't say this, but I'm going to say it. In this area, in my opinion, for people like Whitney in this profession, strong feelings are good. I want you to have strong feelings, even if it's dislike.
Yeah,
I'm cool. I'm with Whitney. I'm like, strong feelings are great, because the reason I say that, Lauren, is because there, some of these, some of our bigger celebrities are fueled by their haters. No one becomes really, really, really big without a solid group of haters who are watching their every step and commenting on their every move. I can go down the list. That motherfucker that I said before, Elon Musk, he probably has more haters than he has people who love him. But the people who love him, and they are animate about it. And the people who hate him. Trump, same thing. Let's even go to someone who's less threatening and who is less let's see, what's the word, consequential, because Donald Trump was consequential, being an asshole in the state. He fucked up a whole lot of things that hurt a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's a lot different than, let's say, Michael Jackson, who maybe hurt the people that he was allegedly, all that alleged criminal stuff that people say he allegedly did. I have to say allegedly because he wasn't convicted of anything, right? Or am I missing something? But he did he got a whole bunch of, he had a whole bunch of people who loved him. Then he ended up, by his end of his career, he had a whole bunch of people who didn't like him. But that all fueled him being the king of pop, being one of the most worldwide entertainers maybe ever. Still, he's like 10th on Spotify still, or something crazy like that. He's not been alive for over a decade, y'all. So I think that those strong feelings, Lauren, really can fuel just everything. I mean,
it's like there's like the idea that like there's no bad press. It's like polarizing things get talked about, and then like they're getting talked about more than things that just are kind of like coasting under the radar, which are like also fine. But
I think you have to get to a certain stratus, because I think your haters could bury you though, or cancel you, or they do have that cancel power if you don't have enough fans behind you. So once you get to a certain level though, it just becomes, again, Doug, one of the best basketball players ever to play. Doug hates. He doesn't like, not hates, but Doug doesn't like him. Doug doesn't like Michael Jordan. Does that affect his celebrity status though? No, sorry, it doesn't. And there are plenty of people like Doug.
Well, yeah, I don't hate him. I hate what he did to the game, but that's my
dislike. Opinion. Whatever, you know what I mean? You didn't like his effect that he had on the game and all that. My point is that, like, doesn't really affect how many people really like, you know what I mean? Like, it almost fuels this thing. So, and what's not, what's not going to be not fueled
Okay,
Um,
you're really crushing the segues tonight, my friend.
I'm all over the place. Anyway, welcome to life with me. But what's going to be fueled nicely is our top 5. So we're going to get to that. Lauren and I are going to take a step backstage, and Doug and Whitney are going to take the realms here. But I do want to say though, if y'all are interested in, first of all, y'all kind of came to a consensus a little bit, which I thought was interesting, and I think even Lauren has seen the number 1 movie, or at least one of the number ones.
Yes, you have.
I'm pretty sure
I see
Lauren
the movies
did.
that matter. I see the ones that matter.
Yeah, and I do too, Lauren. But it's just like 5 years later, and I'm like, y'all, yeah. In like 2 years, I'll be like, y'all, did y'all see Nope? And y'all be like, yeah, like 5 years ago, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Literally, I have yet, Whitney. I'm setting up my kids to try to watch Get Out, actually. And how long has Get Out been around? And people are like, Get Out? That was like 5 years ago. What the hell are you doing, dude? And I'm like, I'm just slow that way. But I don't forget, though. I don't forget that they're good.
You're like, I gotta, you get to adventure.
I got it, right.
Timeline.
But like, give me credit for at least knowing I have to watch it, y'all. Like, so the one of the number 1, one of the number 1 movies, or one of the top movies that y'all said, is one that's really high on my list. And after y'all talk about it tonight, I'm just gonna be like, damn, I gotta go see this. So,
oh, you haven't?
Yeah, no, I didn't see that one, Lauren.
In like 5 years.
We're gonna do some thingy where we're gonna have oh look, I can put it up there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see there's a little tease of the top 5, and that's the fifth. So I think you can make one out. I don't think you can make the other one out.
Yes.
Or maybe you can.
Like a puzzle.
I'm gonna have a little white little chalkboard over here, and as y'all talk about going from 5 to 1, y'all talk about your movies. I will be adding them there so we can keep a tab. And then I think before we reveal number 1, Laura and I are gonna come back and we're gonna see what y'all have to say, and we're gonna criticize their movies, right, Lauren? Because we know so
much to say.
Right.
A little man in the chair clapping or not.
Right. So I want this is the last. It's not going to be the last time, but I wanted to thank Whitney for bringing her expertise up against Doug's non-expertise.
That's true.
And we get
That's true.
and that
two sides of the coin,
right? But we can also see, it's just a fascinating thing because we're able to see what a professional thinks. And, Whitney even talked about the last time she was on about how she tries to take her professional hat off and just enjoy the movie. But sometimes it's hard because you're like, damn, what the hell are they wearing? But anyway, or something like that. She didn't say that, I did, damn. So, but you look at it at a critiquey eye sometimes. And sometimes you said it's kind of, good for you to just step back. So Lauren and I are going to step back. And Doug and y'all are going to take this. And y'all have a good time. Okay. And tell us what the best movies of 2022 were. Yes, and what Lauren and I need to watch in at least 3 years, right, Lauren? We're gonna get. Let's make a pact. We'll get there in 3 years, right?
We can totally do that. Very doable.
All right. Well, Doug. Oh, before we leave, Doug's gonna have a beer.
Yeah, this is Anti-Hero from Revolution. You had another Anti-Hero, but it was like a variant, right, Greg? Like a double one or something?
Yeah. You got that sent from Chicago, didn't you?
Yeah, I got that from our Doug Velicki, who sent it to me.
From Chicago.
Yep, from Chicago. So yeah, kind of a darker color.
It's pretty though.
Oh shit!
Much better than that last one. So.
Oh, good. Also, I can't. There's too much on social media audio, and I can't see or read or know Anti-Hero without thinking of Taylor Swift's song.
Yes.
That's a good call.
You said it, and you put it on my head. It started playing. I was like, oh.
Yep.
Yes, I'm surprised Revolution hasn't sealed that deal yet. They need to call her up and get a whole bunch.
They got money. They ain't got Taylor Swift money, so I think they're.
But listen, they got enough money because they did it to you, Doug. They got enough money to send her some Anti-Hero. Send her some Anti-Hero when she's on the road. She's coming to Chicago. I'm pretty sure. Because remember, she shut down Ticketmaster, and remember they blamed her for being so fabulous and so popular that they shut down Ticketmaster, and it's our fault.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got a blame women problem in this country, but
Yeah, fuck
on
Ticketmaster,
that note,
by the way.
On that note, we're going to blame me for taking Lauren off the screen now.
Bye, Lauren. We'll see you in a few.
Y'all have fun.
Yep, bye. Oh, wait.
Oh!
What are you doing? Ah!
We don't want this face on here.
Nothing but the most professional production on this show.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. It's fine.
All right, do it.
So right now, as you can see, our top 5. We're starting with number 5. For me, it was Moonfall. This is like it's not a great movie. It is exactly what it intends to be. It is a movie where it's Roland Emmerich doing his Roland Emmerich thing, where just like Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow, I think 2012, like all these natural disaster movies where shit goes wrong and the Earth's about to die and somebody saves it. That's what that whole movie is. But it's definitely interesting because it's shot so well. The way he builds tension throughout the entire movie, you don't have a relaxing moment to the movie, except for a few jokes that come in here. But like for me, that thing was like, I knew what to expect, and I still enjoyed the hell out of it. So like that's the summation is like the I don't want to spoil it because there's a reason the moon is falling, but the moon is falling towards Earth, and they're trying to figure out how the fuck to get it back into orbit, and otherwise it's going to basically fuck up the planet. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. Like I said, if you like Independence Day, if you like The Day After Tomorrow, if you like those kind of movies, you'll enjoy this. So
I'm obsessed with this movie. I'm obsessed with Moonfall. I remember I got back home to Richmond and I went to a Monday afternoon screening at like 1 p.m. at the IMAX, and I was the only person. I was the only person in this IMAX screening of Moonfall, and I had the time of my life. I think it's an incredible fun time, and it was just like everyone should see it because it's completely insane, but in the best way.
yeah. There's a lot of implausibility in it, and like, but that's his movies. His movies are, you kind of got to suspend belief on some of the things that happened and just enjoy it for just kind of the romp that it is. And man, I am jealous that you got to see that in an IMAX yourself. By your freaking self.
By myself in IMAX, and the end credit song is amazing, and I was just like bopping as I was walking out of the theater. Like one of the greatest days of this year for me, I have to say.
I am super jealous. So yeah, that's awesome.
And I guess I can start my list, and I will say I did take my costume designer industry person hat off when I made this list. I'm like thinking about the top 5 movies that like made me feel great this year, that entertained me in a really fun way. So, I'm going to have my industry list at some point when I finish watching all my screeners. But this was the movies I've seen this far this year that gave me such joy. And so I'm going to start with Top Gun Maverick, one of the greatest times, of the IMAX in theaters this year. I absolutely loved it. And I'm not a huge fan of the first movie. I think it's okay, but it's not my favorite thing by any means. But seeing this in IMAX with like my closest group of friends in New York, like we got, it was like opening night. It was our, one of our group members' 40th birthday. It was like one of the best nights ever. And seeing this amazing film with barely any CGI, doing all this plane stunts for real, it's like a feat of filmmaking. And it's just so much fun and intense and wild, and just it made you feel exhilarated watching it. It just was such a time. I loved every second of it. So it made me feel all the feelings this year. I loved it.
Yeah, that is a movie that I've wanted to see, and I regret not seeing it in a movie theater. You can watch it at home, and it's just not the same experience.
It's coming back. It's coming back to movie theaters.
Oh, well, then I'm going to have to go see it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now I'm going to have to go see that, because I debated whether to rent it to try to see if it was going to be in this kind of top 5 show. And the idea of the first one, People say if you watch that with like surround sound in your house, it sounds like the fucking jets are coming from behind you, and it's like the sound quality on an 80s movie like that is just insanely good.
It was really well made, and this one just, you know, takes it to the exponential degree even more so. And yeah, it's such, like you said, you know, such a rush. It's so incredible. And like all of the fact that all of that flight filming was real and done for real, there's nothing like that. I mean, that is just unheard of in today's you know, day and age with CGI and all of that. So it's pretty special.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, the cinema experience. And as Lauren knows, I'm a huge believer in going to the movies and like going to the cinema and like having that theatrical experience. So big fan over here. But it's coming back to theaters, so definitely go see it in the theater.
Now, and it was funny, I said something to my wife about it. My wife hates Tom Cruise with the Fire of a Thousand Suns. And so it's like, if I want to watch something, I'm going to be watching that by myself. So, yeah. All right. So I haven't seen that one. You've seen Moonfall. So you're probably going to have seen all the ones that I've seen, I would imagine. So I
guess I'm seeing a birdie is telling me that I should go next.
Yep, go ahead.
So I'm going to go with my number 4, which is the movie Nope, which I absolutely loved. Again, you know, it's sort of a horror movie, sort of not. It sort of defies genre. It has so many things to say, and like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, because it really you should watch it and let it unfold in the way that it unfolds, because it's really, really special. And the costume design by Alex Bovaert is really, really, really good. And like my favorite costume piece is the Scorpion King merch promotional sweatshirt from the crew. The Scorpion King is like a costume piece in it. And one of my other, it's just a visually stunning movie. I mean, the cinematography, they filmed almost all the night scenes in the daytime to give it this really ethereal kind of look, and then they digitally changed it to like night in post. So almost all of the night scenes are filmed in the day, which is really cool. Okay,
that's super cool. Yeah, the acting in that is superb too. Daniel Kaluuya. I'm sorry I'm mispronouncing that. Just the way he's a very gruff person with very little words to say, but everything is just like he delivers it so well. And the guy that plays the cameraman, like he floors me. That's incredible. A great role. Yeah, and you are right. It does kind of defy genre. So yeah.
Completely. I mean, that's what's so cool about, I don't know, horror movies these days too, or multi-genre movies. I make a lot of movies that are multi-genre, and it's just so appealing because you don't know what to expect. You don't know where it's going. And that's what's so exciting about everything that he does. And you're right, Daniel Kaluuya, like his look, he barely says a single word in the movie. Like he is pretty much silent this entire film, and what he can convey with his eyes and like a twitch of his face is absolutely stunning. It's really crazy and fun to watch.
Yeah, and then you have the opposite, is Keke Palmer's like verbose as fuck in this movie. Yes. And it's great. They're just completely play off each other. So yeah, that's a really good one.
I highly recommend, even for those non-horror fans. I feel like it's very accessible.
Yep, I agree. Like even our friend Lauren, who worries about the psychological bit to that, that's not this
You'll
movie.
Be fine, Lauren. Yeah.
Yeah. So my number 4 is Barbarian, which was released on HBO Max. I saw a couple of people, a former guest, Chuck Wendig, was like, that is the most fucking wild ride I've had in a long time. And it is exactly that. It is a roller coaster of a horror movie. And it's a bit old school horror movie. It's a bit schlocky. It's like some really super terrifying moments. Like it takes turns you just do not expect. Like it's going one direction and the movie just completely shifts and you're like, what was that? And it delivers so damn well. I shout out to Justin Long for playing a phenomenal creep.
Just like, the worst kind of person.
The worst guy, the worst dude in every way. And he plays him perfectly. Just like, and Justin Long kind of always has that sort of smirky element to him that seems like kind of an asshole, but not really. but
you want to like him, and you're like, oh, he walks that line so brilliantly in this movie. And like you said, my favorite thing about this movie is it keeps changing direction and and you're like, wait, what's happening now? It's
like,
crazy.
why is this why is it going this? I don't know. And then yeah, it all makes sense. But man, what a ride!
Definitely not one for Lauren.
No, Lauren, don't watch this one. No. Just take it from us that it's good and just leave it be. It's fine. Yeah, that one I actually watched it, and then I watched it with my 15-year-old who loves horror movies, and my wife watched it with us, and my wife just made fun of it the entire time because it's a horror movie, and there's some of it that's schlocky elements to it, and just like that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's not going to make sense. It's a horror movie. Those things don't make sense. No, like whenever you have the people
not be doing that.
yeah. I'm not going to go that direct. Why are you going there?
Yeah, and what are you doing?
Like I'm trying to tread lightly. There's a basement involved, and like never go in the basement in a horror movie, and that's kind of a general rule. My wife's like, "Why are you doing that? Don't do that." And I'm like, "It's a movie. This is what they do." But that's okay. That's just her experience with that. Watching it was completely different than mine. She's like, I enjoyed it. I was just frustrated with elements to it. I'm like, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. So, yeah. You want to go for
do number 3? So my number 3 is Elvis. So I have a personal connection. Like I said, I worked for Baz Luhrmann and Catherine Martin on and off for the last 10 years, basically. And so, selfishly, I want to root for this movie, but also it's just a phenomenal movie. And the thing is, you really have to like Baz's vibe to like this movie. It's like 100% a Baz Luhrmann movie in the most like exponentially intense way. But I think what he does is so brilliant, and the soundtrack is insane. Even if you don't watch the movie, like listen to the soundtrack. I had about like 30 friends who worked on this movie. They're all incredibly talented people. I think it's so amazing. And so I have to say, I never really liked Elvis at all. Like growing up, didn't really care about Elvis like at all. And seeing this movie, I have my number 2 listened to soundtrack or like a CD or album all year was this album. I listened to it like over 150 times or something like that. It's so well produced. It makes someone who doesn't like Elvis actually care about his story and how like he was treated pretty shittily, like pretty bad. Like his story is very sad actually, but there's some like just amazing camera work and like the production design and costume design. My former boss, Catherine, is such an amazing, talented person, and I hope she wins 2 more Oscars this year.
So yeah, I don't know the backstory of Elvis very well, other than he married like a teenager, like kind of Jerry Lee Lewis style. That I have a lot of problems with. And I like you, I never really gave a shit about Elvis music. It wasn't really a thing, and I think like the Beatles, I don't really care for the Beatles, but a lot of people love them, and a lot of people say, well, they were like a phenomenon back in the day. Yeah, but I wasn't alive then. So like, I'm with you. I'm not really a big fan of his. And this was not really even on my radar because of that, if that makes sense. Like, because it's not a topic that I would find particularly interesting. But, sometimes it's not about like the person they're doing about it. It's like, here's how it's shot. Here's how the story plays out. The story matters. So
exactly. Yeah. And I was so, curious. So a little backstory to why Baz loves Elvis so much is that he grew up in Northern Australia. His dad ran the gas station and the local movie theater. So Baz grew up helping in the movie theater, and this was when all the Elvis movies were playing. And so he sort of fell in love with Elvis when he was the movie star that he was. And so he's been wanting to make this movie his whole life. And like, you can tell the love that he poured into it, like of a lifelong love for Elvis the person, and his story is so fascinating, and I didn't know so much of it. And I do have to say, even if you don't give 2 shits about Elvis, like I was that person, but he's really crafted such an incredible, all-encompassing world, and it's like a bonkers movie. Like, I will not lie, it is completely insane, but I loved every second of it. So, even if you don't love Elvis, I'd say like definitely try to give it a chance.
Well, before we get to mine, best Baz Luhrmann movie.
For me, well, it has to be Moulin Rouge because it's my favorite movie of all time, and I've seen it over 300 times. So, and then I'm not even going to pick the one I worked on.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how
So,
much I love Moulin Rouge.
yeah.
Lauren
I,
can attest to that.
I think mine was Romeo and Juliet. I really,
So
really
good.
enjoyed that. That was such a weird and intriguing interpretation of that I loved it. So,
I love it.
yes.
Yeah. I love all, he's one of my favorite directors for a reason. I love all of his stuff, and he's like family to me. So I guess I'm a little biased.
Yeah, a little bit. That makes sense. So yours was Elvis. Mine coming up is Prey, which is on Hulu. This is the latest not adaptation, the latest Predator movie. And the reason I wanted to see this was because they used indigenous folks in the filming of. They were actors, which was part of the reason I wanted to see it. Also, it's a fascinating concept to bring the Predator, which is like this super advanced fighter species, into basically it takes place in the 1700s, and these people who are seemingly unable to fight it because they just don't have the weaponry or the combat knowledge that this species does. It's really good, really well done. They do a few small homages to the original Predator, which I really appreciate, but they're very small. They're not like clubbing you in the head. If you know the original, you'll know when they say stuff and be like, Arnold said that in the first one. I get it, very clever, but it's used perfectly. It's not like used as a throwaway. But if you like, and they actually gave the Predator a personality. Did you notice that? Like there was some personality to him, which they never did. Yeah. So I thought that was really a cool little thing. Like it's not like he's jokey or anything because he doesn't talk, but there's certain elements to his mannerisms that you're like, see that there's actually a personality to him, which I thought was really cool. So
absolutely. And this will roll in great because my number 2 choice was Prey. Like I absolutely loved this movie so much. I saw it twice in a row.
Wow.
I know. And I think that what's so special about it too is that, it's the first movie to be, dubbed in Comanche. It's using completely indigenous cast. Like a lot of them had never acted before, and they're all stunningly talented, so good. And I think it's such a great thing to see, and hopefully more filmmakers do this and really showcase people who need to be on screen, but also like I am a lover of action movies. Like I grew up in a family where like we would watch all the Aliens movies and Terminator and this and that. Like that is comfort for me. And so making this list, I was like, what are the movies that made me just feel so warm and fuzzy inside? And this is definitely like one of the main ones. I just thought it was so gorgeous. It was stunningly beautiful. Like the cinematography was amazing. Production design. Actually, the production designer of this movie just production designed the movie I just finished. So I know how much I loved watching Prey. So that was like a really nice thing for me. And the costumes in Prey, they were done by designer Stephanie Porter, who I believe I met at Sundance a few years ago. And her work is so beautiful. And she does such an amazing job with the creation of all of these garments and like what would be historically accurate. And it's just a very beautiful movie, well acted and exciting. And I thought the story was so well done. So if you have not seen it, watch it immediately. It's worth getting a Hulu subscription just to see it.
Well, Hulu has a bunch of things on it that I think are worth seeing too.
Yeah.
Kindred being among them, but but that's a show. So I really, really enjoyed that. I went into, and it's one of the things I wanted to see earlier, and I just didn't get. And then I was like, I really need to watch that. And the Predator stuff, like I like the first Predator because it's kind of 80s. It is vastly different than the first one. The first one is just all macho men shooting guns, fighting this creature. This is not that.
Having this badass, like, indigenous woman, like, kill a predator, like, pretty freaking cool. It was just very exciting.
That's very Arya Stark did there. So, yes, it was really good. Really good. So, well, my number 2 is one we already discussed, which is Nope.
Woo, woo, woo.
I don't know we need to say a whole lot more about that because I think we said it before. But, yeah, it's not a specific genre. Super well acted, really beautifully shot. Like there's some way they do the scenes in there that, like, I'm not a movie head that I'm like, ooh, look at the lighting and all that stuff. Like I don't, but I can notice when things are shot differently and shot really well. And like I said, Daniel Kaluuya is great. Kiki Palmer's great in it. The weird guy from the video store who gets pulled in. He plays just kind of this conspiracy theory nut guy that just really adds to it. And the guy, the filmmaker guy whose name was Antlers, just what a name! Like that's a perfect name.
Incredible. Just like they were all such fascinating characters. And there's so many allegories. Like, I don't want to spoil it for people. Like, I really want to shout from the rooftops, go see Nope, and like really dig into everything that Jordan Peele is saying, because it's really powerful stuff.
Yeah. And Greg will see it in 5 years, and then we can just So
can I jump in here?
Yeah.
First of all, I find it interesting that y'all basically have the same movies. But they're just, you just value them differently. So I like that. I think that's telling. I absolutely love, Doug, that I have this on this chalkboard here that's going to stay in my room. And it's going to be a guide of, motherfucker, this is what you should watch. Put on the list. And I find it, I like to see, like the whole Jordan Peele thing really is drawing me, like I said. But do y'all feel that I should watch Get Out before Nope?
Yeah.
I think so, just to get his style, because Nope gets like it digs deeper into certain things. So I'd say like Get Out is a good entry level for Jordan
And
Peele.
Get Out is one of my favorite horror movies of like the last 10 years.
It's
superb. It's
so
superb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's bring Lauren back. She's ready to roll here.
Hey, before we get to number one, Whitney, do you have any honorable mention kind of movies?
Oh my God.
I only have one. So if you're gonna give us a few, let's not give you your list.
Can I give you my list? Like, I won't spend too much time.
Yeah, actually, can we do the first one and then do the honorable?
Sure. Let's do
totally.
that. Okay, no, that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, the thing about the number one is that Whitney and Doug agreed. And I was kind of shocked. And then in the pre-production thing, I was telling y'all, shut up, stop talking. It was funny.
Whitney and I were geeking out.
Whoa. And it was funny because I was on the phone while y'all were talking. So I saw the updates, but I saw Doug put, here's my top 5. And then I'm like, man, I need that because I got to prepare. So then I was ready to jump in. And then all of a sudden, y'all just had a big old conversation going. And I'm on the phone like, what's going on over there? So then I look and I'm like, oh, man, I should have told them to zap your list to me, because I didn't I didn't think about it until y'all had saw each other with. But I'm like, no, I don't want them to see each other's lists. But if y'all don't mind, I'm just going to announce it and then we can talk about it, because I believe Lauren is going to have something to say about this too. But so without further ado, Brothers and Booze, best movie of 2022. I could say that because Whitney is our friend and we're a fan of hers, and I believe she's a fan of ours. And Doug obviously is here all the fucking time. And Lauren's here most of the damn time. So I can absolutely say that this movie is the number one for Brothers and Booze in 2022. And y'all need to immediately see it. And that movie is this one.
Woo.
And so we will let the ladies go first, Doug. I've never seen it, so I'll probably buzz out here and do the chalkboard so it's all updated, and I'll be back. But Whitney, what's going on with this one? Whitney and Lauren, what's up? Let's hear about it.
I will just start by saying, so I saw this movie 3 times in the movie theater. I have never cried from laughing so much in my entire life, and then cried from feeling feelings later in the movie. Like, I was just weeping tears. My tear ducts were empty by the end of this movie, but it made me feel all the feelings. It literally is everything you could ever think of a movie. It's completely insane, off the wall, but it's a very touching mother-daughter story, which made me, makes you feel all the feelings. And I don't want to give away too much, because if you haven't seen it, oh boy, go see it as soon as you possibly can. And I will say, so one of my favorite film series is Indiana Jones, like beyond like top 5 favorite, everything. And Ke Kwan, who was in Temple of Doom, is, the dad, Waymond in this, and he's phenomenal. And I'm so happy he's back in the acting sphere, that finally people are paying attention and giving, 9 non-white actors acting roles. It's such a crazy fucking thing, but it's just very exciting that he's back and getting the opportunities that he should have had a long time ago. And I'm going to let you go, Lauren.
So we've established I like movies, but I'm bad at seeing them. I just don't always make the time. But I do rely on friends like Whitney to be like, oh my God, you have to see this. I think a year or two, oh my God, the pandemic did things to me, like 3 years ago, whatever, when Parasite was a thing. That was one that when he was like, you have to see this, do not look up anything else, just go see it. And I was like, okay, I trust you. And I went and I was like, oh my God, you're right. And this movie was very similar, where I feel like we were chatting at one point and I was just like, oh yeah, that movie. She's like, oh my God, you have to see it. And I mentioned like, oh, I feel like I've seen some trailers, but I don't really know. She's like, don't read anything. Don't do any, just go see it. Don't do any research. Don't read any of the things. And I agree wholeheartedly after I've seen it. Like Whitney said, it's everything. Like it hits all kinds of feelings, and it's serious and heartfelt and funny and ridiculous, but also really smart. It just covers a lot of ground and is, I want to say, like atypical in so many ways, in just like plot points or like hero characters or support, like what like morals of the story, if you will. Just things that are covered. It feels so atypical, but it's not forced or weirdly introduced. It just feels so great. And it's deep and silly all at the same time. I'll stop talking now. Doug, do you have things to say? Everything? Do you have everything to say?
Well, all right. So this is when I saw the trailers for this, I said, I really have to see this movie. I really have to see this movie. And I didn't go into the theaters because I was still very fearful of COVID because, heart condition and all that shit. So, but then when I watched it, and I was texting Lauren while I was watching it. It was during the middle of the workday. I have my I normally have where I'm sitting is where I work. It's out in our kitchen. We have this little like seating area. Used to be an eating nook, but that's where my work desk is. And I took my laptop and I sat and I'm going to watch this, and I would just check work while I was doing it. And I am just like rapid fire. Holy shit! Like, what is it? And just like, and she's like, yeah. And I was like, so it is. Like you said, you cry from laughing, but you cry to cry because there's super emotional parts in it. There's there's these like really silly parts. There's these relatable parts. It just goes, just the complete circle of feelings you could have. Like it goes all over the place. The guy, Ke Huy Quan, who played Waymond, like, that's Indiana Jones. That's the little sidekick in I think, a Temple of Doom. Like, and here he is, and he's this adult, and he plays basically 3 different characters, and they're all different, and they're all exactly what they should be, like exactly. And Michelle Yeoh, she's just fucking amazing, and I think she was Times like Idol of the Year, like or something like that. So like she won something because she was like. She's been in a million things. She's been in some really culturally important things like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and this and like some other things that I'm blanking on at the moment. And then there was the other person I want to shout out was Stephanie Su, who played Jobu in the movie Flawless. I've never seen her in anything else, and she was absolutely great in that role. Just wow. Just wow. That's the best
amazing.
I can say.
Yeah. I do want to give a special shout out to the costume designer of the show. Yeah. Shirley Kurata did an insane job. Like her work, I'm really kind of bummed that it's not really getting a lot of awards recognition right now, because what she's done in the world that she's created is so rich and detailed and insane. It's something stuff that none of us would have ever thought to put together. And I think she's done an incredible job. And so, speaking as someone who really does think about design, I think it's one of the best designed movies of the whole year.
And it's designed like in a lot of different formats. So yeah. Hey Greg, what did you break open here while you're contemplating it? You broke.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second, but I just thought it was interesting that Whitney came in with the design angle on it and said
when you see it, you'll
not
understand
only
why.
Well, it's not only strong otherwise, but it's strong. It just seems like it's strong across the board.
Yeah.
And that is
on a
rare.
note of that too. I feel like this is something that I am not a costume designer. That's why we have Whitney here. But coming from a design angle, like people, if you're in an art of some kind, especially design specific, like graphic design, interior design, costume design, like whatever, when it's really good, it's like people don't really notice because it's so seamless. And that's like a really weird and challenging thing with it. Mm-hmm. That I feel like with this movie, like there's certain, because of the way Everything Everywhere All at Once is, there's some things where you're like, you have to notice costumes and scenes. Like you can't not notice it.
Yeah, that's
the
for
other
sure.
parts of it, there's certain parts where like it's modern day, whatever, like it could be any you could be your everyday, you walk down the street and see these people, and those parts also were like so simple. Like, oh no, this is absolutely what I would expect this person to be wearing, and this scenery and whatever. It is interesting to me. Again, the Everything Everywhere vibe really ties through with all of the explanations of this movie. It's all of the feelings. It's like the mundane and the extreme and the ridiculous, but it all works so well. It's mind-blowing to me as a sometimes moviegoer of just like how, like, there's just so much good in this, and it's because it's so well thought out and like tie-throughs, and like it's very thoughtful.
And thank you for like shouting out modern costume design too, because I feel like most of my movies are movies that takes place like now and contemporary. And it's so hard to make a character feel real. Like we have to create that world. So when costume design is bad and you can really, I'm like, oh, that doesn't look right, it's noticeable. But when you create something modern that feels real and you really spend the time to make it look accurate, it disappears. Like our work should disappear and these people should feel real, but then we don't get the credit that we're due.
Yes.
And that's really tough sometimes because, you know, our work is meant to blend in, but that's also extremely challenging and difficult, and we don't often get the credit for that.
It's only noticeable when it's bad.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, why?
Yeah.
I mean, not that good work isn't noticeable, but again, if it's seamless, like Lauren says, then it just fits in and everything just feels good.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what feels good, what I'm drinking, Doug, is
y'all.
I know it might be a little, it's kind of out of, but it's a rye IPA that still has its hot punch. It's from our boys, you know, and I'm still drinking that. Venture Brewing is one of those places where they have a cooler full of beer and you can just pick one out of each 6-pack and just bring it home.
Oh, cool.
So that is just too fucking easy for me, dog. So and then we got honorable mentions coming up here. But before we do, I don't know if y'all want to if y'all will let me shout out my favorite movie here.
Yeah,
because I saw exactly one.
Oh.
And it was, I'm not going to show a promo for it, but it's on HBO Max, and it was The Batman. And The Batman was a solid ass movie. There we go. Let's see that. Yes, The Batman was a solid ass movie, and I went into it, and because y'all kind of a little bit ran me down on this stream because I made fun of the Batman guy, because I thought that going into the movie, I was like, who is this Twilight dude? With all due respect, hold on, dog, before you kill me again, like you're going to. It's fine. I don't know much about movies. So then if you stand out or I know something about you and it's not good, then it's probably going to stick. I don't know anything about Robert Pattinson. Did I get his name right?
You got his name right.
I need to. because he's a good actor, but I just got caught up in the whole Twilight thing. So I'm like, this is the Twilight Batman. Like, get the away from me. Like, you got to be dark. I want to see darkness. I want to see creepiness. And he was all that. He actually even scared me because I thought he was so like on that edge, like Batman should be. Batman is an edge character. He's like, you should doubt some things about Batman. Like, you should be almost afraid of Batman. Even if you're a good person, you don't want to see that bat dude trying to fly and behind you all of a sudden. And he was scary. I liked how they took the whole movie as far as like the younger aspect of it. Because to me, again, going in, like Doug and I love The Dark Knight. We both say that it's one of the best superhero movies, if not the best. People have tried to run us down a little bit on this stream about it, saying, really, really? Yes, really. So then that was the high bar. So then when he comes out and he nails it, and it's this dark and grim, it was just fantastic. I like this. I hopefully DC, with all due respect, does not fuck this up. I don't know why I say all due respect. Hopefully DC doesn't fuck this up because they fucked up Superman, they fucked up Wonder Woman. The list of fuck ups from DC. We could literally do a 24-hour stream. Sorry, Whitney. This is my opinion, not Whitney's, but we could do a full 24-hour stream. All like, I'm just mad that they just dumped the Superman. So unless y'all come with a black Superman or somebody who's like really stand out, but that's not Black Superman. But like, listen, y'all better come up with something because the dude that y'all just let go, in my opinion, was one of the perfect Batmans. He was like almost like throwback to Christopher Reeve. It was just like, man, that guy looks like Batman. He plays it well. His name is Cavill, right?
Yeah,
He's great.
Cavill.
He's great. Sorry, I don't watch many movies, but I did see Man of Steel. It was fabulous.
He's phenomenal.
Go see Batman. That's probably
Batman was incredible. I loved
mine of the year.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No worry, Whitney. Now let Doug run me down for calling Pattinson
I get it.
The Twilight Batman. That's what I call it.
I get it because that role made him boatloads of money, and it was something that it was shticky. But here's the thing: if you've never seen the movie The Lighthouse with him in it, that is a unbelievable acting job by him and Willem Dafoe, and it's those two almost the entire freaking movie, and it's just those two, and it is unbelievably good, and he's really excellent in it. He's been excellent in other couple things, and I will say the Batman was one of my honorable mentions as well. It wasn't in my top 5, but it was an honorable mention because now here's the thing for me. I don't know if you all could speak to it. Maybe Whitney can. Lauren, I don't know if you've seen the Batman, but it's interesting because it's weird that the story of that movie is great. Usually the Batman is like the figure, and the story is kind of little, not ancillary, but kind of trails behind him. Not this movie. This movie, the Batman's actually like part of the story, like a little bit more than what I notice in most of them. That's the thing is like, and he was super broody, like losing his fortune kind of brooding, like, because he just didn't give a shit. And that's not something we've really seen. Usually it was always like, well, yeah, like Christian Bale, I thought was a really good Batman, but he was always smart enough to like make enough money so he could have all of his toys. Whereas Pattinson's character's like, fuck it, I don't care. No. So yeah, it's different.
Absolutely. Yeah, I loved the Batman. I thought it was phenomenal. And the costume designer of the Batman has done very, very varied work because she just had a trailer come out for the new Barbie movie. So the designer who designed the new Barbie movie designed the Batman. Yeah. And she also designed like the Beauty and the Beast movie. Like she does stuff all over the place. So like it's cool when designers get to do all sorts of different things. But yeah, I loved the Batman. I met Rob once and he was very lovely and nice guy. So I have that to report. Yeah.
Rob,
that's always
first name basis over there.
Yeah.
The number of times that Whitney has pulled something like that where she's like, oh yeah, Kate. I'm like, who? And she'll tell me, I was like, you can't like act like I'm supposed to know who that is.
I don't live in your world. What are you doing?
And I also admit though, I need to be broader and better about like this is one thing I know actors don't like, so I need to give more grace here, which is like casting him by one role. Like I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but he's not always going to be Spider-Man. So like, don't get upset when you see him and he's not Spider-Man. And what is he trying to be now? I forget. But whatever, it doesn't matter because he did a great job at Spider-Man, and that's just a limited role. So I know Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but I shouldn't, I can't. I need to open my horizons, right? But if that's the only thing if then that's what you kind of fall back to. And I've never even seen Twilight, so why am I so negative on it? But anyway, that aside, Whitney, you have an extensive list.
I do, of some of my other favorites this year. I will say, and then I do want to follow quickly with a list of that I have a stack of screeners like this high of stuff that I need to watch because I've been so busy the last 3 months. I haven't seen any of the awards movies, and I have to vote in our Guild Awards in January. So I'm like, I got to watch everything in order to vote. So I'm behind on everything. But what I have seen this year, my honorable mentions, After Yang, Barbarian, which we talked about, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is a great horror movie. Fresh, another horror movie. Glass Onion, loved. The Menu, loved that. There's a great costume movie called Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, which is amazing. Moonfall, we talked about. Nanny is a great sort of thriller movie. The new Scream movie, I did love the new Scream movie. Smile horror movie, which was amazing, and then X. Those are my honorable mentions.
So much horror.
Yeah,
so much horror. Yeah,
love horror.
It was your vibe, and it was the year we talked about that.
Well,
yeah.
Whitney, do you think what any contributing factors to so many horror movies or the genre? Is it something that sparked it, you feel, or is it creativity, or what's going on?
The reason I love horror movies so much, or
no, the reason that horror movies seem to, because you're saying when I asked you what was good about the movies, horror was the first thing out of your mouth.
Yeah,
it was the strongest emotion. So what's going on? What do you think as a professional? What's going on?
I think people have finally embraced again the fact that you can tell so many stories with horror, and you can really do a lot of like allegories and references to other things. Like there's so many horror movies that are about other things, and you can really go into like worlds that are not really based in reality. You can get really campy, or you can get like really heightened in different ways. You just have a lot more creativity. It's not like necessarily based in the real world, so you can really have a lot of fun and play with so many different themes. And I think people see how, like, the industry is seeing how much money horror movies can make, so they're finally greenlighting so many more horror movies because fans will always turn out for horror. But when it comes to like comedy or drama, like they're gonna be like, oh, I'll skip that one. Oh, I'll skip that one. But with horror, people, like, horror fans are legit. They show up, and I feel like the industry is finally harnessing that power again, like they did in the 80s and like a little bit in the aughts, but like it's now back in full force, I think.
Hey, I have a question on that, but before I get that question, Lauren, did you open a second one? Because I know you had some difficulty with opening it. So I'm really curious what it is, because I'm like, what the fuck is she having so much trouble opening?
Okay, so behind the scenes footage, I was asking for suggestions on how to open wax seal bottles, because I was like, I want to drink this, but I also do not know how to open this. And I've been fighting it off screen and on screen a little bit, but I finally got it opened. So what we have is one of my, I'm going to say favorites just because it's a place that I've got, a brewery that I attend and go to a lot, but it's Drake's, it's local. And I have a group of friends who we go regularly, minus some of the pandemic. But they have a beer, well, not sort of beer. We have a Santa's Brass, which is a barley wine aged in bourbon barrels.
Ooh.
And it's going to be delicious. They do this, I want to say every year, mostly, unless something has happened. And this is a 2021, so I've had it for a year.
Look, dog.
Yeah, look at you.
Things happen. And it is 13.1. So didn't really think about this. I was just like, oh, the thing that Doug gave me. And it's seasonal. Then I realized it was 11%, and now we're going to 13.
Amazing.
So Santa's Brass, barley.
Awesome.
Here we go. It's super delicious. Like, I can't aim. I'm gonna pour things on my computer. It's gonna be great. no wax in the cup. I
Nice.
did it.
Hey,
Um,
that's a win.
yeah, there was a lot of wax everywhere else trying to get the cap off. I've had this before though. I haven't obviously had this bottled aged version, but I've had it on tap from year to year. It's very delicious. It is sweeter, as you might expect. But
It's
Yeah,
dark too.
being-
Can you put
being
that
a
up?
barley.
It's dark for a barley.
Look at that.
it
Nice.
is so delicious. There's like tasty honey, I don't know, like brown sugary,
Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
barley wine.
toasty
It's got the
vibes.
sweetness.
So
The
good.
smacker.
Yeah, but it's not like sugar, like how some other like stout barrel aged things get like really sugary sometimes. It's like the honey sweet vibe.
Mhm.
And I'm into it and probably in danger because percentages. So got it.
But you're at home, so that's
I
great.
am. And I will say it is a challenge, but it is worth the wax seal. It once a year I will do the wax seal for this Santa's brass.
And Lauren, your background's a 9 out of 10, by the way.
Thank
Yes.
you. I decorate it.
It's a Christmas tree.
Mhm.
It brings it all the way up to 9 for sure.
So
For
much
sure.
better than my 7 or whatever I got last.
Now, if you can get your cat to photobomb it, we'll put it over the top.
That's true. He's not social right now.
Oh, that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
true.
It happens. Doug,
So-
you have one, right?
Yeah, so I picked up a rye one, but mine's a rye winter ale. You'll shoot your rye out.
Oh, I almost know that reference.
Doug's favorite Christmas show.
The worst fucking Christmas movie of all time, A Christmas Story.
I hate
That's
it.
what it-
I hate it so
Oh,
much.
oh, Whitney, I want to high five you for.
The movie vibes are strong. I've never watched it, but I'm going to because we're doing it for our based
We
on a
are.
book club because
We
it's based on
are.
a short story, which I didn't know.
Do it.
And now there's like a sequel with
Yeah.
the same dude.
Do it. Yes.
But I know
Yes.
that reference, even though I haven't seen it.
I've
Yeah,
always
so-
hated that movie.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it sucks. It sucks. So this
I
is only
will keep you posted.
this is only 6% ABV as a winter ale, but it's bourbon barrel aged, which is, and yeah, maybe it's a brilliant name, but I'm weird. Like, we've had people talk about the IP, like the intellectual property. I don't know how they get around that, but because they got the freaking leg lamp and the BB gun, so yeah, I'm not sure, but it's actually very good. And it looks reddish here. It's not really that here, so I just think it's the lighting.
Daniel, are you trying to start shit? Go on, Doug.
Yeah. So that's really good. The winter ale, which is that nutmeggy, spiced ale kind of flavor with the bourbon barrel age is really quite nice, and only 6%, which is usually with your bourbon barrel age shit is really fucking not that. It's usually way higher. So the only other point I have was my only other runner up or honorable mention, what you would call it,
Yeah.
was Don't Worry, Darling.
Mm.
All right, so the only quibble I have with that movie is the ending.
Oh yeah. We'll talk offline about it.
Yeah, because I don't want to spoil the ending, but it's a very Black Mirror-y
Yeah.
kind of movie.
The costume design is phenomenal. It's a beautiful.
Oh, it's
movie.
great. It's great. Even the set design is really
That's
awesome.
great.
Like,
It's like very beautiful movie.
and Florence Pugh is in it, who I love. I think she's fucking
her.
great in everything she's in. She's fantastic. Harry Styles, I think that was his first movie that he acted in, and he
That
was quite
and My Policeman is the other
yeah.
one.
Oh, my wife
My
watched that, and she said the end of that made her cry. So
Oh, gotta steal myself for that one.
yeah. Don't Worry, Darling, I thought was really good. Just I have my quibbles with the ending. That's all I will say.
Violent Night, anyone?
I cannot
this.
wait. I have a little story. So
Is that the David Harbour?
the David
one?
Harbour movie. So after he finished filming my movie that I did with him, he went straight to the set of Violent Night. So he was gaining weight to become Violent Santa Claus. So I had to keep getting different sized outfits for him as he gained weight to play Santa Claus. So that was the challenge that I had with David.
Challenges that we don't even think about.
Ew.
That was fun.
He's not pulling a Christian Bale, is he? That guy, holy shit!
Not to that extent. No, David just wanted to get sort of. his like Stranger Things, you know, he fluctuates a lot on that show, and so he kept it to sort of that range that he fluctuates for that show. But yeah, he came to me at his smaller weight at the end of Stranger Things at the beginning of my movie, and then by the end of my movie so anyway, that movie comes out in February, so look for it on Netflix. It's called We Have a Ghost. I do want to shout out
I can watch
my movie that came out this year. So I didn't even put my own movie on my top 5 list, but I had a movie come out called 3 Months. It's on Paramount Plus, and I'm very proud of it. So,
3 months. Okay.
3 months on Paramount
3
Plus.
months.
What's the
it?
What's a synopsis?
Yeah, so it's about a kid who finds out on the eve of his high school graduation that he might have contracted HIV. So he's got to wait 3 months to find out whether he did or not. And he goes to like a support group, and he falls in love with a guy in the support group. And it's sort of trying to erase the stigma of HIV in today's society. So it's a really, and it's funny and it's sweet and it's wonderful. And we have an amazing cast. Our lead actor is the pop star Troye Sivan. We had Ellen Burstyn. We had all sorts of people. But yeah.
Ellen Burstyn. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was, and Louis Gossett Jr. We finished. So this is the movie I filmed in the middle of the pandemic. Like we were halfway through filming when we got shut down for the pandemic, and we came back to filming. And my first 2 fittings in COVID, this is pre-vaccines, pre-everything, was with 2 Oscar winners. So I have to fit Ellen Burstyn and Louis Gossett Jr. And I'm like, I hope I don't kill these 2 people with COVID. You know, it was a terrifying time, but you know, they were completely lovely, and no one got COVID on our set. Everyone was fine, but it's definitely like a crazy, scary time. But I'm very proud of this movie, and I think it turned out great.
Was the break for 3 months?
It was over 3 months. Like it was a very interesting, like waiting, like the 3 months for all of us became very clear, like what it felt to wait that length of time, because we had to wait 6 months to come back and finish the movie. We were down for 6 full months. So it was like definitely, you know, waiting to hear if you have a diagnosis of a health crisis. Like it had a lot of shades of what was going on. So it's like totally powerful and crazy. So, and I have 3 movies coming out next year, so we'll have to be back on when I have a.
Yes, please.
Yes.
We'll chat.
We could do like a quarterly Whitney Anne top 5.
We just got a scheduler in between gigs, y'all.
I know, that's
over.
Right.
That's the hard part.
And I do have to shout out, like, if no one's seen the trailer for Cocaine Bear, please go see that trailer because it's completely insane, and I cannot wait for that movie.
Daniel said, "Hey, looking forward to Cocaine
Bear." I cannot wait.
That is based on a real story. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I do not even know. I have no inkling about what any of y'all are talking about. But I might go watch that after this.
One of the best movie posters I've seen in a long time. If you haven't seen the poster for Cocaine Bear,
it's great.
The best. I'm so excited.
Looking at the poster and the
all right, I'm gonna find that.
Yeah, because it is that the story is actually like, I don't know how they're gonna do the movie, but the story itself is true. That a bear got into some cocaine and went nuts.
Went on a rampage.
That's what that's about.
Yeah, the bear ate cocaine.
Lauren, sometimes it's really that straightforward.
I mean, you never know.
As Daniel said, go watch
you do never know.
There's a line reading in the trailer of Alden Ehrenreich saying, the bear fucking did cocaine. And it's like the best line reading I've heard in a really long time. I can't do it justice. Go watch the trailer. It's so good.
All right. So before we move off of the whole Batman thing real fast, I have a question for y'all. And then I'm going to go find that cocaine thing. But so y'all, so I found this graphic and I found it interesting for many reasons. First of all, man, these men look hot in this picture.
Yeah,
they do.
But
even Keaton, who's like in his 70s.
Right, he looks damn good.
Yeah.
First of all, where's Val Kilmer? But second of all, though, Doug, we're gonna do what we normally do, which is you save one and you have to boot two. So I thought booting one would be easy. So booting two. Actually, let's start Whitney and then go to Doug, and then Lauren is shaking her head no. I could actually answer this one.
I was like,
wait, so I have to get rid of two?
You have to you have to send two off the plank.
Oh my God, this is very difficult.
That's why,
Um,
yeah.
Well, I have to boot Affleck. Sorry, Affleck. I didn't. I actually never saw any of his movies, so I can't.
Any?
You've never
I've
seen any
seen.
of
I
them?
mean, of his Batman movies. I've
Okay.
seen all the other Batman movies except for. I missed a bunch
Okay.
of DC movies in there. I think. I
That's
was like,
that's
I'm good.
That's not unnormal.
So no Zack Snyder's Justice League.
None of them. I saw none of
Well,
them.
you're a better person for that one, but that aside.
I'm a Marvel watcher. I've seen every Marvel movie, but I have not seen every DC movie.
Batfleck is gone.
Batfleck is gone, and then this is now very difficult. You have to keep Christian. I mean, I'm sorry, he has to stay. So
yes.
Now it's between and I'm sorry, I love you, Rob, but like it's Michael Keaton. Got to keep Keaton and Bale.
Wow. Okay. Pattinson's problem here is longevity, as far as you know what I mean, because all these other guys have had more than one stab at it. With lack of a better term. Lack of a better term. So he's kind of the underdog because he only has one thing. So if he gets thrown, that's probably going to be it. But Doug, you can tell where you at with this.
I will agree that the Batfleck is easy. That's the easy one. That's the easy one because, and the thing is, you're going to say, well, Pattinson doesn't have the longevity, especially with Batman. Well, Ben Affleck only had one, so like that's not
one full movie. But he was in Batman and Superman.
Showed up.
He was in Justice League. Zack Snyder's. He was in like 3, wasn't he? And then I think he was in 2. Real quick, but then what happened was he was supposed to be the Batman, Doug, and that thing drug out for like what was it, like 8 or 9 years, Whitney, where it was supposed to be Batfleck, and then it ended up being Battison. Yeah. So Ben Affleck was supposed to be the Batman, Doug, actually. So for the record, anyway,
I think the thing is I think Pattinson, like if you're going to pick the best Batman. The reason I would pick Keaton over Pattinson is simply because Pattinson was more like woven into the movie. Like he wasn't so much the character as Batman, like what we're used to. So to me, it'd be Keaton and Bale as well. Bale is, for me, the best one. I mean, Val Kilmer's a great Batman. I'd rather see him in here as opposed to fucking Affleck. Yeah. Clooney, no, just no. I love Clooney. He's great. No, Clooney, I love him in a lot of things, not as a Batman. I don't think he was a good Batman, but I'm with Whitney on this, Keaton and Bale, just because there's an understatedness, but like a magnetism that Keaton brings, whereas Pattinson almost kind of repels you a bit, which says a lot about how he acted. It's really brilliant. It's just not what we're used to as Batman.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. The keeper is clearly for me Christian Bale. I think he nailed that.
Okay.
He was believable. He was scary at parts. The only thing that didn't translate with me, and that's not really his fault, was when he went to that weird voice. When he was with Venom.
Is that a voice that everybody does?
Well, none of the other Batmans did it.
Well, no, but like all of the regular human people referencing his movies, or not his movies, the Batman movies that he has done. Is that voice? I have not seen that one. I'm really bad at this.
It was this weird. This seemed a little bit not in character. I don't know. It was weird. But other than that, and I don't even know if I could blame that on him, actually. So like I don't even, you know what I mean? So like, I don't even want to, but that was part of his portrayal. So then it's, it kind of stuck to him, if that even makes sense. And then I'm booting Batfleck, of course. And I don't know. He was good, but like he was all right, but like I don't know. There's always something a little bit missing with him generally for me. That makes sense. Ben Affleck is always a little bit of something like I want more of him. I don't dislike him, but there's just something that never really clicks with me, if that even makes sense. So I'm going to get rid of. This is not easy actually, because I really did like Battison a lot. And and
Me
in
too.
fact,
Me too.
Yeah,
in
it's a hard choice.
in
Hard
fact,
choice.
yeah, in fact, the thing I'm gonna sorry y'all, but I'm gonna kick Keaton. And the reason is because I came in with this predisposed opinion of Battison. I knew I was gonna hate it. I thought it was gonna be trash, and I was just not. I was just like, no. And this
Like, he
man
sold you.
completely, yeah, he completely flipped it on me. And they all completely flipped it on me. I just went in with bad expectations. So when you go into something with bad expectations and then they go well beyond, it's a little bit different if I would went in with high expectations. And then, you know, I mean, he had to roll back. So I like Michael Keaton. I thought it was great. I thought the first Batmans were really, really solid. But I'm gonna go with Battison, the Keaton, and Bale. And
So
hopefully DC doesn't fuck the rest of the Batman series up, which I really believe that they will. Sorry.
No.
Go on. Right. Bad expectations. Yes. Yes.
there's the
Daniel.
puns. I feel like I've
This
been
is why we
missing
pay
those.
Daniel the big bucks to sit in our comments. Oh, I gave away our
Give our trade secrets. What are you doing?
Right.
So what I'm gathering from this is that potentially, okay, from all of you, Bale is the Batman that I should watch because I am bad at this, and apparently I don't think I've seen any of those.
Yeah.
I'm not like super into superheroes. Like that wasn't like a thing that would drive me to see a movie. I'm not opposed to them because like I did a whole Marvel thing, which was super fun, and I'm like sold on it now. But Batman, I don't think I've seen any of them. The only the only two Batman movies I watched were Batman and Robin with riff tracks, which were making fun of the movie, and Lego Batman. Those are the only Batman movies
Lego Batman was great.
that I've ever
It was one of the best
seen.
Batmans. Yeah.
That was
I have no reference to any other Batman. So if I were to watch one, Christian Bale Batman sounds like the one that I should be honing in on.
Yeah, because it's Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises.
Watch them all. You'll be
all good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if y'all don't mind, before I get back to y'all, let's dig into the comments because I see some really interesting things here. First of all, yeah, the storyline for the Batman was great, Daniel. I want to say that. John Burkhead, shout out. I haven't seen or talked to you for years now. He used to be a moderator for a beer group. Yes, he kind of fell off the map. Yeah, John, nice to see you around. Nice to see you're still kicking and all that. It's great, man. Hopefully your family's doing great. Hopefully you're doing great. Cool. Let's see here. So Zach says, hey, real quick, sorry, I'm cribbage shopping, but Douglas, did you say Uncle Nearest? Your ears must have been ringing because I was just in a space like right before I got here talking about Uncle Nearest. If y'all don't know Uncle Nearest, the story behind Uncle Nearest is that Jack Daniels was a recipe that was stolen from a black slave. So Jack Daniels' recipe that everyone loves was from a black guy. What happened was, I believe his descendants or somebody sued Jack Daniels and made them admit that it wasn't Jack Daniels' recipe it was the slave's recipe. So what they did, Whitney, was they made Uncle Nearest, which is I believe it might be one of the slaves' recipes, Doug. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a hats off and a hat tip to that slave that got his recipe stolen. And yeah, you can look. It's a big rabbit hole, Whitney, if you have time.
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to go buy that Uncle Nearest immediately.
Yes, and they got like 6 of them. I actually had the website up.
And they financed Sorrel.
Oh, wow.
It is a black woman-owned
distillery.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the word that I want. Thank you, Doug.
Man, fucking white people are just the worst.
Y'all were at some point.
They were.
There is a working segment of white people like y'all who are working to, to change, and we need people to change. But yeah, y'all were awful.
Just bad. Just
oh my God, like
horrible. Horrible.
Right. Did white people steal everything that black people did?
Yeah.
Yes. Y'all catching on now.
Uh-huh.
Yes. listen, it wasn't any of y'all here, or
Right.
it is some of y'all here actually.
Some
But
people.
right,
But
right,
you
right.
know, it's super
But
important to know, just to know and acknowledge and know the history, and especially, you know, I just designed a movie that was 95% Black, and so making sure that I did my research and was openly communicative, and you know, knowing what I was the space I was walking into, and making sure that everyone felt respected and comfortable, etc. You know, very
That's-
important.
And honestly, that's not that hard. You just be nice and be
Yeah,
respectful. That is it.
exactly. Yeah.
That is it. That's all you have to do. It's
So,
not
yeah,
hard,
Zach.
people.
Yep. And I'm sorry, Doug, I ran over, but here we go.
That's all right.
That's their line. I think I have 2
Cool.
upstairs.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I've
had the 1884 and the 1856. I haven't had the others, so now I'm gonna have to go find them.
I bought one. I don't remember which, but I haven't gotten to open it yet. Soon.
Thank you so much for telling me about that. I'm excited to go buy that.
Yeah, you should be able to find it pretty much anywhere, right, Doug? I'm pretty sure it's nationwide now. And
yeah, for a while we didn't have it up here, and I found those 2, and I wish I would find I'm not a rye drinker, but now I want to try it because that's, you know, I mean, I had a rye beer tonight, but it's not, but it's something where like I want to support that stuff, because I don't, like I've told you before, things like, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but the idea of doing like the Black is Beautiful beers, like none of the breweries around me did any of that. And I was so frustrated with that. So like, if I have an opportunity to support Black owned business, Black owned brewery, Black owned distillery, whatever, I'm going to do it. So.
Yep. And Total Wine. Yeah. So the big places, Whitney for sure, I believe, have it in like most metropolitan areas. Of course, you know, I love telling people to, you know, do your mom and pop place, but look there too. But if they don't have it, say something to them. If you have like a, you know, one that say, hey, y'all, what's up with Uncle Nearest? Why don't y'all have it? At least put it on their radar. That's the best thing you can do.
Awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, Uncle Nearest is good times. So yeah, I'm done with the comments. I just wanted to do some shout outs there. So if I cut somebody off, I'm sorry. But where do we go from here, Doug?
I mean, there's a million places to go. You know what I would like to talk about, and this is a little niche, but Whitney, you mentioned one of the things you talk about is equity in costume design in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And it's something we never hear about. If you're not in that industry, you don't hear shit about, like, we hear a lot about equity in a lot of different places, and that's great, and we need more of that. But can you talk a bit about that? I know that's something you were on a call about it this week or something to that effect. And,
yeah, it's been a big week.
Can you elaborate on that a bit? Because I think people need to know more about that.
I so appreciate it. So I am in the 2 main unions of costume designers. There's an East Coast and a West Coast. I'm in both. And I am the co-chair of the pay equity committees in both unions. So I am helping run 2 different committees. So it's a lot of union work. But the biggest thing is no one likes to credit costume designers when they mention them in articles. There was a big I love the thank you, Zach. So our pay equity is twofold. One, we are the lowest paid department in all of the film industry in terms of the main department heads. We are by far the lowest paid. I think it stems back to being looked at as women's work. And we're a very diverse group of people in the costume department. We're actually one of the most diverse departments that exist in film. Like, you know, we're very racially diverse. We have a lot of LGBTQIA members. Like we're made up of a lot of different types of people. And it's another, you know, way that we are just not respected, as our wages are so much lower than our peers. And, you know, I have a million graphs on my Instagram page and my website, and I'm trying to educate the general population, because in a year and a half, we have our contract negotiations, and we're trying to get pay equity with the production department, with art department. And that's our main sort of comparison. Our jobs are very, very similar. Like we do the same amount of work, and we're paid far, like thousands of dollars less a week than they are, which, you know, just not cool, not okay. So that's one side of what we're fighting for, is the pay equity side. The other thing we're fighting for is just credit. There's so many articles that write about the clothes, and, you know, we really influence fashion and pop culture, and everyone's talking about the clothes of the White Lotus right now. Like it's part of the zeitgeist. And there's the big thing that happened this week is that there were 2 articles that came out, one in the New York Times, one in Vogue. And the one in the New York Times was the 93 most stylish people of 2022. Now, 15 of those people they mentioned, were fictional characters in film and TV. And they didn't mention a single costume designer's name except for one. And that was Catherine Martin for Elvis, but not a single other costume designer. And so do they think these actors just show up to set in these clothes? Like, no, there are people who are spending months, years out, like making these costumes happen. And it, just made my blood boil, because these people have, we spend months away from our families. Like, I'm working my last movie, I worked 3 months straight, 3 days off, 18-hour days. Like, it's pretty intense work. It's a lot. And we just want our names to be attached to the work that we do. And then the other article was a Vogue article entitled, "Why Were We So Obsessed with Costume Design This Year?" And it goes to mention, it's a great article, and it talks about how, costume design has fueled pop culture this year. And we couldn't stop talking about these outfits and these characters. And, the most discussed thing of the year, they mentioned one costume designer in that entire article. And, they mentioned at least 9 specific projects. They only mentioned one costume designer. And I just got so angry, and I got fed up, and I made 2 reels on Instagram. And now each one of them has been viewed over 14,000 times, which I've never gone viral on Instagram before. For me, that's a lot. And just talking about, it's just not cool. And the greatest thing happened is that Vogue added the costume designers into their article because of my video and everyone sharing it. So that was pretty awesome. And, it wasn't just me, like I made the video, but then everyone shared it, everyone talked about it, and it really got the momentum going. And that's something that I'm really focused on the next calendar year, is just educating people that we just want to be mentioned for our work, love it or hate it. Like, we just want to be mentioned for the stuff that we do. And, it's connected to, if we're not mentioned, our work is erased, and then people don't want to pay us what we deserve. So it's a lack of respect issues that ties right back into how much lower paid we are. So that's sort of my soapbox moment.
That's so important, though.
And let me jump in here quick and say, I'm just fucking tired of genderization of careers. I'm just fucking tired of it. And it's continued misogyny is what it is. Because really, what do you say when you say, "Oh, it's a woman's field"? What are you really saying with those words? Mm-hmm. Like, I believe that this is the lady of this house is a nurse. She supported this house pretty much on her own for 20 plus years. She's a fucking star, but she just works in an industry. She's a nurse, so that's a woman industry. No, school teachers, that's a woman industry. Again, what do you say? When those words are said, it's never in a great context. And it's always in a context of, let's belittle that so that we could pay them the least amount, and we could belittle their offerings and their contributions to whatever they're doing. Obviously, Whitney and I aren't making equivalency between nurses and costume designers. Okay, we're not doing that. But I'm making the equivalency as far as the genderization of it. And there's just supposed to be some less pay if you're a woman, is basically what I'm hearing. And I don't know if anybody else hears it, but I really hope that more men like me hear it, because still, unfortunately, men, mostly white, are writing these checks or don't want to write those checks. Mm-hmm. So then it's just easy for them to, in my opinion, demean y'all and demean your gender on the way out of just paying you the bare minimum they can for something that is very fucking important in the whole realm of things. Because if Battison came out with some dumb bat nipples, maybe I wouldn't have enough. But that's a man's field, though. Batman's a man, and he's got to be. I mean, we got to have the best costumes for him, and we got to have the best. We got to roll out the best things. Nah, bitches, that ain't. No, stop it. And thank you, Whitney, for being, strong in this area. People have to know, again, costume designers are just, it seems like there's just these fields in every position. And every like field where it's just like people just get swept under the rug. There's also we could just sweep under the costume designers. They don't, they're not the front facing people.
Right.
We got to pay Batfleck, $600 gazillion to really be average. Sorry, do we really want to go there? Ben Affleck to me is an average actor. That's just my opinion. Maybe he has some good roles, but he just doesn't just blow the screen away when I look at it. But Lauren, I only see 2 movies a year, so who the hell cares?
Our views,
so small sample size. Yes.
Our views may be a little skewed in the movie department.
Sample size, right? But it's easy. I guess it's easy for me to say since I don't know him. But I'm just saying, thanks, Whitney, for highlighting that and keep working and let us know anything that we need to shout about here because we will do it. Please don't. I mean, especially leading up to that whole contract negotiation because that's when shit really gets. That really is when it really hits the fans. So.
Yeah, it's really important.
I feel like that's something that I feel like there's so many things that we don't always recognize the invisible labor, right? Like how there's like stay-at-home parents, which are generally assumed to be moms, but there's a lot of stay-at-home dads who have watched it. Like we all know a lot of them, and like costume design and certain like field or nursing that like feels like fields that are like women's work, and so they're less respected than men's and all of that stuff. And I feel like it's just something that we don't always, unless you know somebody, you don't think about it really. So I'm very thankful to have Whitney here to talk about it, and I feel like I've heard a little bit here and otherwise because we're friends. But one of the, I don't know if it's a campaign, but like the Naked Without Us.
Yeah,
thing,
that's our campaign slogan in the Costume Designers Guild.
It feels very real because it's so true. Because it's like without like there certain movie. I mean, in every movie, but like especially in certain movies. Costume can be so iconic other than the ones that like weave in and you don't recognize, but like especially the ones where you're just like, oh my god, that movie, like fashion gets so many names tied to it, but costume design doesn't. And like especially when it becomes things that like people dress up for Halloween.
Yeah, you go into like any Halloween store and like half of the costumes are based on film and TV characters. And it's iconic because it's like, oh, it's this kid is dressed up as oh my god, what is like the 10 Rings, whatever, Shang-Chi outfits, and like it's a specific looking outfit from that movie, and we get $0
or money.
We get $0 for that. Yeah, because we're work for hire. Our work is owned by the studio, and we're trying to get more deals in place, like promotional deals with movies, so we can like do a line that is connection with that we get paid from, but like we have 0 merchandising rights, we get nothing. And it's really frustrating. And we are like on screen, you're watching a movie most of the time, like most of the frame is the actor and the costume that they're wearing. And it's so much of what you see.
I got to go to one of Doug's favorite shows of all time. I have to. And I've seen Doug, I did see a half episode of it. Game of Thrones would be nothing for that costume. It would be absolutely, with costumes all due respect.
Yeah. Same with House of the Dragon.
Yes, the writing is brilliant. Okay, the writers. I'm not gonna serve the writers. Without costumes,
it could be both. Right? Like writers can be great.
It is.
Actors can be great, and costume and scenics. That like everything can also be great.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a collaboration with the actor. Like we're working with them, but at the end of the day, what they're wearing comes down to us. Yes, they have to inhabit it, but we are the person, like help inform the personality. We you have to look at them and immediately kind of know the type of person they are, and then the actor helps gives that more depth. But we're the first thing you see.
Well, we need costumes.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
Look, we got someone right here. We just got to pay her. That's it.
Yeah. I'm not sure I can afford her.
I got it.
I have 3 teens and a 21-year-old. I can't afford it.
We got budget issues. Wendy, we got budget issues. We're gonna
copy.
Right. But again, this probably sounds like all negotiations. We have budget issues. Right. Okay. And we understand all that, but y'all, a lot of these movies making so hand and fist over at the end. So again, I know not all movies make money, but a lot of them make a lot of money.
Yeah, a
So
lot of money. And when
yes,
they're sort of fighting, our biggest thing too is the equity with the production designers. And like the production designers, they're all so talented, amazing. They deserve the wages that they get 100%. It's nothing detracting from them. We
right,
just want our wages to equal
correct,
theirs. And
right,
ours are
right.
always lower. And we work on so many projects that are varying budgets. You know, as long as my rate is the same as the production designers, I'm cool. You know, as long as I feel like I'm getting paid appropriately. If I'm doing a tiny movie and doing it because I love it, awesome. I'll take a lower pay rate as long as I'm equal with the production designer.
But just like in quote entitlements here, they want to pitch y'all against each other.
Yeah.
So that like, and it's not that way because y'all both could get paid. It's not, you know, it's like immigration. You know what I mean? Those people are taking our jobs. First of all, they're not because you don't want to do them.
Right.
Second of all, this is what they want. If we focus on each other instead of focusing on the people who are divvying out the money, who again, hand over fist got more money. This isn't about
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of pitting between.
That's what they've been trying to do, and even between costume designers, because they're separate unions that don't, you know. So we're trying to really just exactly. You just buy the clothes. Do you know how many times I've heard that? You know, and like what we do is not.
He's not even in the industry, and he knows that shit.
Yeah, it's true, especially contemporary movies. The amount of cooks in the kitchen were like, they want to tell you what this character should be wearing, and you're like, do you like? I have to be a historian, a psychologist. I have to be a designer. I have to be a therapist. I have to do all of those. I have to wear all those hats at once because I'm trying to see like what the actor will wear. I need to know the socioeconomic context of the story that we're doing. So I have to balance so much stuff. And then, I just buy the clothes, you know, and it's just really difficult when people don't understand what we do. And that's why I'm trying to focus on education, and I'm trying to focus also within the union about transparency. So we all talk to each other like, hey, what's your rate on this? Hey, what are you getting paid? Talk to the, like, make sure that it's about equality and talking to each other and communication. And we're trying to be more transparent with each other, because if we all do better, like, you know, it's a win-win. So
a rising tide lifts all boats.
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Great question, Doug. Great question, buddy.
I feel like so much we don't talk about money. Like they're like rich people talk about money, but like nobody talks about money. And so we feel like we're not supposed to talk about money. So no one knows how much anyone else makes. So everything feels like it's taboo and you can't talk about it, so that everyone can get paid the minimum amount allowed.
And there's a lot of companies that tell you, there's a lot of companies that tell you can't. And that's bullshit. You can.
Because that's illegal for, you know, it's illegal to say you can't. Yeah.
So talking about money,
it's a good
feels
thing.
Weird, but it's really helpful.
It's just very helpful.
What's the baseline? Like, am I super getting underpaid? Like, are you getting super underpaid? Can I help you negotiate something better so we all have to like suffer less? I appreciate you and your education vibes. So thank you.
Yeah, I have a big push for the next calendar year. So I'm excited for all the different directions that I can go. And this just, you know, last few days, those 2 reels that, you know, I worked on getting so many views and actually changing an article, like, gives me a lot of more fire to do more work like that. So I'm excited.
I also feel like that's a rarity for you, in the sense of like filming and like recording yourself. And I hate
it. Oh God, recording my audio. I did. I hate seeing myself. I hate listening to myself. And I did it because I knew it was important, but like, I can't listen to that reel I made anymore because I'm like, I can't listen.
Okay. Can I ask here's a gender-based question, believe it or not. I don't have a problem listening to things. Like if I listen to a feedback of this, what I do is I listen to, all right, well, how could I improve my delivery? Like blah, 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 blah. I don't get weirded out by how I sound. Not because I'm not Morgan Freeman. I'm not somebody that's going to just make a mint off of how my voice sounds. But what I'm saying is like, I don't get weirded out by that. I don't get weirded out by how I look. But here's the thing. I'm a guy.
I was like, Greg.
And I don't have people fucking critiquing me for how I talk or how I look. Is that something that do you think that is a bit that comes into play with how you're like, I hate how I sound?
I mean,
Right.
this society as a whole has made women hate themselves on the whole. So
on
it's
all
definitely
levels.
on all
for
levels.
everything.
We have to we hate our like how we look, we hate how we sound, we hate how we are. Like that's just how, because it's about buy this to make yourself a better, to like make yourself less ugly or this or that. It's something that's been trying to be ingrained in us our whole life. And I've been trying to spend my whole adult life unlearning that, and it's still really tough sometimes. And like I always forget to like I had to go to speech therapy when I was in school when I was younger, and like it gave me a lisp. I didn't have a lisp, and it gave me a lisp. So it's always like I have a different voice than I did when I was younger. Yeah.
That's
So I have this
confusing.
I have this slight like lisp, and I don't know, I don't mind it at all, but I just it's always funny to me. I'm like, oh right, that's how I sound, but I'm behind the scenes for a reason. It's always, I had terrible stage fright in high school. Like I, was an actor, but I was like, I hate this, but I love theater. Didn't really know about costume design until college. So now it all clicked into place. But yeah, I don't love being in front of the camera.
Wait, okay. So, Greg, do you also not think about how you sound or visually? Like, does that not, like how Doug was saying, he's like, I don't really think about it. Do you think about
Doug
it?
and I don't relate on this. But I think
it is a very much white guy privilege thing.
Oh, also
I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware of
Also
that.
fair.
absolutely, it's Doug. I think asked it in that context, and what Whitney said about women, just put black in. That's it.
Same.
We are told that black people are evil, bad, scary, don't like each other, black on black crime, can't live with each other, can't do this together, can't work there, can't work. And those things, whether you know they're wrong or not, this is a barrage of it creeps into your being. And this is why it seems like, well, first of all, white America loves to highlight anybody, Kanye, that is against or who believes the bullshit that they believe. So then they always accent people like Kanye and
Ben Carson,
Kyrie, and the crazy thing. Listen, whether you like Kyrie Irving or not, Kyrie Irving actually says some very intelligent things, but you'll never hear that. You'll hear him talk about flat Earth and vaccines
and anti-Semitic shit.
And anti-Semitic shit. Yes, he says, but you'll never really hear any of the things that he says that are, kind of smart or shows that he has some education. You'll never hear that. You don't. In fact, you probably think that he never says anything like that. And that's because that's what gets accented. So we have to fight against that, just like women have to fight against it, just like any other ethnic minority have to fight against it. Lesbian and gay people have to fight against it. Anything that's not white males, it's pretty much, it seems like we have to beat these expectations. So no, I don't like hearing my voice. No, the reason the stream was started, the reason I wanted to start it is because I hated how I looked on screen. I hated how I sounded. I still don't listen to any of these shows back. If there's any editing or anything, or you might see clips and all that, my sons do that. So I don't even do it. I just don't like the way I voice it. People are like, you have a great voice, you have great hair, everything's great. What's the problem? Well, it's not really a problem. It's just that I just wasn't raised in a manner that accented, and I'm not blaming my folks or my culture or anything, but it wasn't raised we weren't raised in a manner where it was like, hey, it's cool just to go out and be a fucking idiot. Like, look. White boys and jackass. Does it get any more jackass than that? Look at these motherfuckers act a complete fool. They got 17 movies, 6 books. They're all millionaires, and they're all white boys doing the complete dumb shit that I would never, ever even remotely do on any kind of level for any kind of money, but they're praised and they're great for sticking apples up their butt, sewing their butt shut, and all this other bullshit that they do. Now, if Lauren and I and Whitney wanted to have a show called Jackasses, again, how far would this bullshit go? Until, like, you know what I mean? But, like, white, crazy, young white boys, that shit's celebrated. So we got issues. but it's just really good to have Whitney, Lauren, and other women out in front. So representation matters. Of course, it doesn't matter to a white boy. It's never going to matter to a white boy because y'all motherfuckers are always out there. That your reputation is everywhere. Our society is soaking in that shit. So of course, y'all motherfuckers don't know what reputation means. Y'all will never know. So how about you just shut the fuck up and like be happy with your privilege because you don't have to worry about it. You can go out and act a fool and get paid, and it's great. Meanwhile, we got Whitney struggling to just be equal in her field where everybody else is getting paid, and her field is just, it's not like it's something like, water boy getting the water. I mean, these things that these gospel days, it was everything. Again, Game of Thrones would be nothing. How much does that generate? How much does that generate for HBO? How much does it still generate for HBO? How much does the fucking bobbleheads, toys, shirts, all that shit's going? Now we got a prequel of fucking dragons puffing everywhere. And that's another level of like, thanks for teeing me off, Doug. That's another level of them not getting paid. Yes, we are being replaced. Oh my God. You ever see like grown men throw hissy fits? It's just so retarded. But then when we push back and say, look, we're not being compensated, then all hell breaks loose and the snowflakes come out and all this, well, why do we need all this gender stuff? Why do y'all make it that way, motherfuckers? So that's another thing too. Y'all make racism and misogyny what it is. You motherfuckers. Not us.
Camera,
Greg. Sorry.
Serious? No.
Hey, man, I feel that was very aimed at me. I'm going to go.
You motherfucker, not you, Doc. All right, well, if he wants it, we'll just do it. It's cool, but like,
yes.
Well, and I also recognize, like, as a white woman in my field too, I have remarkable privilege in my position as well, and so like I do think it's my job to like give more opportunities to diverse people, like in my departments, and if I can't take a job, hey, let me recommend like people who I think are great for the job, but also just trying to get more diverse people into the field. Like that is my responsibility, like to hire those people and do whatever I can in my power to change things.
Yeah. And one of the things I started, I'm so conflicted on Twitter, y'all. I'm so conflicted. But what I did start was a Twitter space called the Soul Food Space. And basically, it's a space where we just talk about soul food. And then it's kind of spilled into kind of like almost like what Black people do. So we had last week we had a space for Christmas. So we were talking about what Black people eat for Christmas and all that, and what soul food means for Christmas. But then it also spurred into what does Christmas mean for Black people, and how does it look differently from white people, and how does Thanksgiving, look for Black people. And I've learned really so much from my fellow Black people that I didn't know, because we're not a monolith, just like white people aren't. And there's different cultures and things that, you do, Whitney, to celebrate any of these events that other white people do differently. And, that's the beauty of the EU is how like they're generally, especially Europe, they're generally white people. But at the same time, they're vastly different, and they all have different cultures, and they all bring something different to the table. And we just need to all be like open to that even more. And I've been learning that again, just even in our society, quote, Black people, our culture, there's just so vast of an area to learn and to grab from different people that I just love it. And y'all check out the Soul Food Space if you want. It's a bunch of Black people talking, but y'all listen, another thing white people steals Black culture. We were talking about this before. We were talking about this earlier today. Oxtails. Y'all read oxtails?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
oxtails. That used to just be a soul food, Black food. And it used to be cheap as all hell. Now oxtails are expensive as fuck. So we were literally talking about the gentrification of soul food today and how Now white people have jumped on oxtails, and now oxtails are like 3 times or 4 times the price that they were because people are demanding that. Now, I made a joke and said, now y'all need to try chitlins.
I've tried them and no thank you anymore.
So that is like, it's funny because I think every culture has these aspects of our culture that we don't want to own. A lot of white people don't either want to own, slavery or where they came from or any of that. Where some white people are like, listen, I didn't do it, but I'm going to own it as it happened in history. And by owning it, I'm going to change it. And we're going to move. Chitlins and pig feet, I'm not owning. So I'm just going to blame that on somebody else because we don't do. But ultimately, y'all know why we had to eat the pig's feet and the chitlins, because the white people were getting the steaks and the ribs and all the desirable cuts, and black people were just stuck with, hey, make oxtails great. Hey, make chitlins great. You can't polish a turd, or maybe the Mythbuster people told us we can, but like chitlins is this awful. The best thing to do with chitlins is to take them over to the trash can, open it up, and throw that shit the fuck out. And I've had enough exposure. My grandmother tried every year, like 3 or 4 times a year. And when I lived with her, I would literally run into my room and lock the door and keep it shut all day. So that smell, Lauren, I didn't even want the smell in my room. It was so horrifying. Yes. JHG, please. It's every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern until Elon blows that up or I quit it or something. But he literally shut down Spaces last night because he got his panties in a bunch. And it was the weakest thing. I don't know if y'all go out and Google that. I don't want to go on Elon rat hole, but go Google that and just listen to it. It was like, Lauren, it was like a slap on the hand with like air. Like, these journalists they didn't even like say anything. Like they just, like, the one lady, I think the lady who's running the space, she just asked them a pointed question, and he ran out of there like a bat out of hell. And he could not take any of the black Twitter spaces because we are fucking hard on each other. Every other word is an N-word or a cuss word, or we're going at you. Like, black people run other black people down really hard. There's no way Elon could ever take that. He's such a big man baby.
Especially
it's just really bad.
Especially considering he's from apartheid South Africa. So
he doesn't know what black people are. But he's such a baby though, Whitney. Like, there's just like this much criticism. He can't even take like this much criticism.
And like, I love Twitter, and I am like spending less and less time there just because
I've had that recently too. Yeah, I was like,
you don't need to leave it at some point.
I love the people and the vibe there, but also I was like, I feel like I haven't actively been like, go away, but I feel like I've been less drawn to it lately, and I feel like sad a little just because it's a grieving of what was, and it's different now.
And I was making fun of Whitney for her what I called an addiction to movies. And of course, it always takes one to know one. And I wouldn't say I'm addicted to Twitter, but it's just going to be really hard for me.
Earlier, didn't you actually say?
Yeah. It's just going to be really hard for me to believe, but he's pushing it. And if he takes away spaces, then I really don't. I mean, I do 3 or 4 spaces a week now, and he's just going to take it away. If he takes it away,
on top of doing like a fucking show every Wednesday night for this, and then doing fucking Friday nights, and like, you're busy anything.
Right. And Doug, also real quick though, that's why I love producing your stream, the Cult Bar. Whitney, I don't know if you've seen the Cult Bar, but maybe we should talk about it real quick.
It's newer.
I love, Doug, you know how much I love producing that shit, and that's, you don't ever see my face, and you're never going to. But like, I'm behind the scenes there the whole time for the whole Cult Bar because I love doing the behind the scenes. So I can, that's what happens to us, Whitney. Us who don't like our voices or the way we look or whatever the hell.
You do it.
Whatever critique we have of our presentation doesn't make us not want to work or do the work behind the scenes. It almost drives us more to help those in front of the screen.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's my whole job is doing work behind the scenes to get people in front of the screen. And like, I'm willing to, I enjoy spaces like this. It's like the red carpet stuff and like all of that stuff makes me so uncomfortable. And I got to do it for my job, but there's a reason I'm behind the scenes. Like I love conversations like this. I love things where I'm off camera, but it's
And I started this so I would put my face in front, and Doug has been the perfect partner as far as like longevity and as far as like just being there. Like if Doug would have said let's quit 2 years ago, I probably would have been all right, cool, it's fun, it was a good run. But Doug is there like every week. Doug is a workaholic.
I look forward to this shit. This is one of my favorite parts of the week. I kid you not. I love being on here. We have a small group of people that fucking talk to us. Hey, we don't get paid shit for this. We do this because we fucking love it. And it's so much fun. And yeah, I look forward to this. I do this when I'm on my vacations.
That's true. We've seen you do it in a bathtub.
Yes, I did it in a bathtub. I also this past year I did it in Toronto when I was on a patio and did it in Maine. I was supposed to do it in Maine, and then we fucking messed up the last day we were supposed to leave. So we were there a day longer than we should have been, and like I had to like cancel doing that. And that sucked. But yeah, I love doing this. I love the guests. I love having co-hosts. I like Greg. I love you, man. You're the fucking best, and I'm just glad you asked me to do this shit.
I'm doing dumb puns in the
yeah. I have a question for Whitney, a movie related one.
Mm-hmm.
If we could go back that direction. What are you looking forward to next year? What movies?
Ooh.
Yeah, Brothers and Booze did it in the bathtub. We also had a guest who was completely naked in a pool. So yeah, we've had some interesting things.
Robes are involved in more than one way. Multiple guests in robes. Very confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got involved in this.
Yeah. So what movies are you looking forward to next year?
Well, speaking of, so I already spoke about Barbie and Cocaine Bear. Those are two very different movies that I'm very excited for.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, Cocaine Bear poster.
It's literally a cocaine bear.
A bear made of cocaine.
Inspired by true events. My God. That's aggressive. That's an aggressive poster. It's got a 300 vibe.
It does have a very,
yes,
it's like,
it does.
I think that was the goal. It feels very much like a parody on the 300 poster.
Whitney, what's that line you said that was iconic from it already? Oh,
it was just he said the line reading of the bear fucking did cocaine. It's really good.
What a scary moment for a bear. Sorry, right? Go on. Next year.
Yeah, Barbie, and I'm looking forward to Barbie. I can't wait for the new Scream movie. The Scream in New York. Scream 6. I'm just looking at my little list here that I have. Looking forward to Renfield, the Nicolas Cage like vampire situation. Let's see. I'm looking forward to my 3 movies coming out. Hopefully they'll all come out. We have a Ghost coming out hopefully February on Netflix, and then I have 2 other ones which will be announced at a later date. What else do I have on my list here? Megan, a horror movie, a doll.
That looks super
my
interesting.
Friends,
I will not watch.
My friends produced that. I'm very excited for that one. That one looks really good. I'm like, my brain's like full of like, what else is there? What are you looking forward to?
Whitney, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Who is this fella?
A fellow?
Oh, Austin Butler.
He looks great in this role. Yeah. Whoever did his costume and all that, he looks the part.
Catherine nailed it, and he plays Elvis the whole movie, and so he transforms. Like he honestly should win the best actor Oscar this year. I think he's got a big chance for it too, because what he did in that movie is phenomenal, and everyone's like definitely putting him on all of the best actor lists.
Okay, because again, what Doug said about Elvis is what I feel about Elvis. I don't give a shit about Elvis.
Yeah, like when you hear it, if you don't know about it, you're not already sold.
Whitney is selling me, and she's
Yeah.
not trying to sell, but you're not trying to
But
sell
I'm
me.
like, this is how I
Right.
feel about
But
it.
like, just by
I
the way you're
believe
talking
her.
about it.
If she says it's a worthwhile movie, I like absolutely believe that I should go
Right.
see
I
it.
also think, you know, in the first like 10 minutes, if you're on board, you're on board for the whole thing. But if you don't feel the first like 10 minutes, then it's not for you, if that makes sense.
That's-
Like that's very much
Okay.
Baz's movies. Like, you know pretty quickly whether you're going to be enjoying the ride or not.
All right, cool. I just wanted to say that because I didn't get to
Yeah.
talk while you were talking about it. I was like,
Yeah.
this movie looks really interesting. The whole thing looks, I mean, that promo looked amazing. So
As a non-moviegoer, though, I was like, Whitney's in the industry, she knows what's coming up. And like Doug, you asked the question, I was like, as a non-movie industry, like, do you even know, Doug, what's happening next year?
No, but I have a few that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
I don't have the Whitney vast expanse of things to draw from. John Wick. I fucking love the John Wick movies. The next John Wick movie is coming out. I want to just a brief thing saying the way they have built that franchise is completely unique.
Is it 4?
Four.
Yeah.
So the first movie, you're dropped into this thing and the guy's dog gets killed.
I could not watch after that. It ruined. I couldn't.
Now, I'm going to tell you, it's worth it.
It's
Work
really
through it.
good. Okay.
It's worth it. So you get through that, and then 2 and 3. So basically, they drop you in. You know jack shit about anything going on, and then as the movies go, they build the world through the sequels, which is nuts. Nobody does that. Everybody
It's
builds the world,
crazy.
and then they just like, here you are. You're in the middle of this. All right, there's this guy. You know he was an assassin. Okay, great. And then you go, and then the next one you're like, oh, this was the world he used to be in. And then they expand that world in the third one. And just like, I am so psyched to see what the fuck they do with the fourth one.
Yeah, it was filmed in Budapest, and my
Yeah.
friend was the second AD on it, and she said it was a wild ride. So I'm excited to see it.
I can't even imagine just like the way they build that. Now, it is a shoot 'em up action movie. It's not like anything I've seen. Like, it's not like Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne, all the fights are very tight. This is not like, this is expansive, not expansive like huge, but just expansive, and it's like it's bigger than Wick, but not just like giant battlefield battles. It's not like that. But just the way they make this, the concierge and the hotel shit, just fucking, I love that. Ian McShane, the guy who played the concierge, I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he's phenomenal. He's very understated and very proper, and it just works. And I am so stoked for that. There's also a Hunger Games. I don't know.
There's a Hunger Games prequel coming out. I do have to say, one of the other big ones I'm very excited for is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which I cannot wait. The new Indiana Jones movie.
There's also
Spielberg back, right?
I believe so. I'm trying to, and so it's probably Harrison Ford's last outing, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
I was like, is it still him, or is it
No,
new?
still Harrison. He's doing it. And then the new Mission Impossible movie. I'm very excited for that because I love that franchise.
Every movie. So those movies is like, sorry to interrupt, but like there is the first one is like not like what Mission Impossible is like now. Mission Impossible 1 was very much spy game shit. And now it's just like these fucking bonanzas of stunts. And Cruise does all of that shit, which is just...
It's impressive. And I like both. The first Mission Impossible is like one of my favorite movies. I love it so much.
It's great.
But I do also love the direction of where the franchise has gone. Like, I enjoy both of them. Just not Mission Impossible 2.
All right. Can I give you my only one of the few bisexual moments I've ever had of hotness from a guy, and it's Henry Cavill in the last Mission Impossible, where he's like, in the bathroom, and he goes and he's basically like cocking his fucking. I was like, oh my god, what am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, I was like, have I not watched this? I might need to watch this.
It's great. It's great.
Because I got so excited. Sorry.
right?
I mean, if that's the barometer, I feel like if it surpassed this for Doug, that is worthwhile for me to check out if I haven't already. So
It is insanely hot.
I'm
Agreed.
into it. Let's do
Agreed.
it.
Definitely.
And I'm not like my wife describes me as mildly bisexual because there's certain guys that I think are really hot, but it's like not like I'd ever act on anything. But that fucking thing where he's just like, and it's called cuffing, like when you're fighting, like it was an old thing where like you would, if you had long sleeve shirts, you would do this so you could clear your cuffs so you could actually fight. It's actually a thing that's based in a fighting thing. And I'm like, okay, that makes it 5 times hotter. And,
I will also be Googling this amongst many other things, apparently.
And it's Henry Cavill, who's like this giant nerd who's really ripped and fucking a hot guy. And it's just like really.
And apparently a respectable human being, which I appreciate.
Very much so. Like we had, Greg, you remember we had Jeremy Lambert on here who's written for, you'll appreciate this, Whitney. He was the extras casting director for Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
And he's written for Warhammer and all these different and Doom Patrol and all these different things. So, and his partner is Mallory O'Meara, who wrote a book called Girly Drinks, which won a James Beard Award fucking for being this great book about women and alcohol. And he is the nicest guy. Like it's just weird. You talk to him and he's like this guy who has those clouds. He's directed movies and all, and he's just like this really super nice, down to earth dude.
I love those people.
And I don't know. I'm rambling because
he's good looking, but he's not Henry Cavill good looking.
No, he is not.
But Jack wants to know if we mentioned Henry Cavill no being Witcher or Superman. I mentioned him not being Superman. Yeah, I don't know anything about Witcher.
Can I do one more thing for 2023? The Winnie the Pooh thing. Did you see that? Were they going to make the horror movie out of Winnie the Pooh?
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait. What?
Because Winnie the Pooh is now in the public domain, so you can do anything.
So they can do anything they want.
They're gonna make like a dark Winnie the Pooh.
They made a horror movie. They already made it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
is there a trailer? Do I want to see the trailer?
There's some images online you can see. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I'm a little like they're going to make a Mad Max sequel, but then they're going to make Furiosa, which come out in 24. No, just mildly, not violently, Greg. Greg.
Yeah, I'm excited for Furiosa. Oh, and the last one of 2023 I really want to see is Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer looks really interesting. Yeah.
Zach, real quick, I just want to comment on this. Zach, I said that I will accept the Superman reboot if it's for a black Superman. Other than that, this is bullshit and I'm pissed off. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, so I will tell you, Lauren, the Winnie the Pooh thing is Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. So
is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Is like the regular cast of like kangaroo, owl, rabbit.
I have no idea. I haven't watched the trailer. I just saw the goddamn movie poster is terrifying.
Oh no! Should I look at it? Should I not look at it?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I'll look at it in the daytime.
That's probably better.
Okay, I appreciate all of your support in this non-horror life I live.
That shit better be campy. Otherwise, I don't.
Oh my! Blood and Honey.
Of course, it's
that's literally what it's called. Oh my god!
It sounds horrible.
I'm scared and intrigued.
Yeah. Oh, Zach mentioned the movie 65, which is a weird looking fucking movie. So that looks super interesting.
Oh, I want to see the William Dafoe movie Inside, where he's trapped in this like high-rise like apartment. It's like an art heist that goes wrong, and he ends up trapped in this like high-rise luxury apartment that has no exit to it, and he like goes insane. And it's like basically just a movie that's just William Dafoe going crazy, which I'm like, I'll see that.
Hey, Willem Dafoe going crazy. You can't go really wrong with that.
I mean, The Lighthouse. Come on.
The Lighthouse. He goes crazy in that, and it is.
Yeah. Love Willem Dafoe. He's awesome.
No, I don't know enough about movies, so I trust y'all to tell me.
He's the Green Goblin, Lauren. He's the Green Goblin. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Trust Whitney way more than me. She has a lot more experience watching shit than I do. So
I just love movies.
Several lenses. Everybody tell me.
Zach
Tell
is
me what I
right.
should watch. It'll be
Jeremy's
great.
humble gold. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I am more of a TV show person. So like, I tend to watch, like Greg's like, what are we watching? And I'm like, I always have shit to watch that I've watched because I like movies. Here's a weird thing. So my bit is, oh wait, JHG just sent me the poster thing. I think he sent it to you too, Greg, but I'm going to post it in the chat.
Oh my God. Wait, of what?
It's not going to be gory.
Oh, Winnie the Pooh. Is it going to be terrible?
Yes. But I can't remember what I was talking about. So
TV shows.
So like with movies, I have this issue where I look at a movie and like, how long is it? Because I'm a fidget and I have a problem sitting still.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, so I actually watched Don't Worry, Darling today. And it was like well over 2 hours long. And I'm like, do I have 2 hours? I do. Can I sit still for that long? No, I can't. Because I was working. So I was like, I have my laptop here and I was like, I have to stop it. And my wife's like, she's very gracious. She understands I have to work. My wife had off today. So, but like, ugh. Yes. God damn it, Zach. Yes. I want to do that show for the Cult Bar. You motherfucker. Talking about the Hillsong Cult Show, which
wrong stream, but also totally fine.
Yeah. Sorry about the side tangent there, but
I'm the opposite. I watch almost only movies and barely watch TV shows.
Okay.
I think because I don't feel like I have the time to watch a whole TV show, like to keep up with it.
Does it the closure and it continues and like
it's just too many episodes. Like I can do a nice 2-hour movie is perfect because I don't have to like go back to it and keep watching. Like it's a contained thing, and with my schedule that's so crazy, like I have half finished so many television shows. There's very few that I stick with. Like the very few that my favorite TV show this year was Severance. Absolutely love that show.
I saw an episode.
It's my favorite show this year.
That was my favorite show this year too.
Awesome. Look at that. We are aligned.
You're like all samesies vibes over here.
Also, you can't go wrong with goddamn. Now I'm getting Christopher Walken and what was John Turturro.
John Turturro. So
having a love story in the middle of a fucking show.
I know,
it's so sweet.
I worked with Christopher Walken and he was a bit prickly for me. So I have some stories about Chris.
Okay. And broadcast.
Post.
Lauren, I don't know if you want to close your eyes or not.
Oh, should I not look? Oh my God. Somebody tell me.
Well, you can see that.
Should I look at it?
You can probably see this.
Oh, this is. I don't love it. But it's like less. It almost looks like horror satire, if you will.
It is.
So I feel like less weird about it, maybe. I don't know if I'll watch it. We'll see. You two watch, report back to me, and we'll see if I should watch.
Amazing.
Ooh, Daniel, let's check. Let's compare stories.
Yeah, Zach's dad was an actor, so.
Oh, nice.
No,
Chris was great. I mean, he gave a great performance, and him and I were cool. I just have some funny. We have some funny interactions.
I mean, we're all particular about specific things, right?
We have a lot in common. Like we both have negative ass, like a concave ass. His words. He called me on the telephone. He's like, "I have a concave ass." So I was like, "Okay,
good to know. Thank you.
Good to know. We'll work with it."
Like
just the lack of a behind.
Non-existent.
Yeah, and I'm like, you and me both, Chris. You and me both.
I got some ass I could donate y'all.
Yeah.
If only it would work that way.
I lost a lot of ass after the fucking stupid weight loss I had from my heart attack. So yeah,
I lost a lot of ass.
Here's the thing: my butt before all of that was like it never deviated ever. like whether I lost weight, gained weight, didn't matter. My butt was the
Oh,
same.
it was
And then all of a sudden,
consistent.
now it's
So
like, now it's like, oh God, it's so small.
it's literally taking 3 hours to get to the ass section of this content.
Right on time.
I think we've reached the apex, right?
Yeah, I'm
This
pretty
is the
sure this is
climax.
where we
This is where
start to
we're at.
wrap up. I mean, we got our guests talking about concave asses. We got silly shit like this going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally off the rails, and it's
Yeah.
Whitney's fault. So,
Yeah, we
I-
do.
so
Oh,
my
my-
fault. So my fault.
yeah.
Okay, Daniel.
We don't go
I was
but-
unprepared.
To be fair, my screen name on Twitter for a while was Badonka Doug. So
Oh, I remember that moment.
yeah.
It was. Yeah, so
We're
we're off
here,
to the,
everybody. Welcome.
yes. So on that note, we're going to start wrapping up here because
Yeah.
3 hours went like 3 minutes, it feels like.
Mhm.
And I feel
And
like
that's
we'll
what
talk about
that's
it.
how you know you have a great guest. So Whitney, is there anything that you would like to recap, tell us to look for? We are going to try to have you back here in spring,
Mhm.
if you would like to, but we know that you have
obligation.
15-minute wrap
Responsibilities.
begins. Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
about
you
right.
have responsibilities and a job, and you're a busy lady at times, and then you become not busy for a while. But even when you're not busy, you got movies to watch, lady.
I got
So
so many movies to watch, so much union work to do, and like all of my union work is volunteer work, so like it's important to me, and that's why I do it. But it definitely takes up
Is there
a
any
chunk of time.
is there any way we can help with that?
Definitely, like when I start coming out with more and more posts, just boosting, getting it, especially I want to get in front of eyes who are not industry based. Like I would
Yeah.
love people who, love the performing arts or love movies, love film, like just to sort of understand a bit more of like who we are and what we do and why what we're fighting for is important. And
So-
then, yeah.
2 things.
Mm.
Please, if you don't mind, come back here if you can, and you're in the heat of that, and we can scream
Yeah.
about it here.
Yeah.
Also, when you do have a chance to buzz us, please buzz us, because sometimes Doug and I miss things, and we do like to talk about when we have guests the important things that they're doing. So we want to scream and
pass
holler
us
about
news.
this. So we might need a little nudge though from
Yes.
you. We're
No,
cool with the nudge.
definitely. I
So
love it.
when you follow so many people at certain points, you almost lose.
Certain
You know
things.
what I mean? And I'm not
Track.
Zach will say that I'm bragging, but
No.
we've had a lot of wonderful guests on here.
No,
And
I get
sometimes it's
it.
just
Yeah.
hard to keep up with Chuck
With all the
Wendig and
things.
Mallory O'Mara and Jeremy Lambert. And it's like, wow, all these people, and Jackie Summers. And
It's hard.
No,
to keep
when I have stuff happening, and then I don't have an official release date yet for We Have a Ghost on Netflix, but I'm thinking it's the end of February. So once I have that official date,
Oh,
I'll
please,
send that to
please let us
y'all.
know.
It's
I'll
gonna be
try
real
to
fun. It's
jump.
a family adventure movie. Everyone's gonna love it. It's
I'm
a
so
movie for
excited.
everybody.
I can watch it.
It's funny, it's sweet, it's hurtful, but it's got action, it's multi-genre. So I think it'll appeal to a lot of people. And yeah, that's what I got going on. But hopefully,
And-
like sleeping this month.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
settle down with the movies. You don't have to
I know.
watch them all, Whitney.
I have,
Yeah,
but luckily I can watch so many at my house
will.
because I have all
Right.
my screeners.
Right. I think Whitney's on a quest to just watch them all. Like she's like me with
always.
beer, Doug. I want to try
Every day.
all the beers. Whitney wants to see
Yeah,
all
the
the
movies.
movies.
I mean,
Just
yes,
see my like letterboxd. I'm just like logging movies.
it's a lot.
So, last word before we say bye to you for this time.
Any last thoughts? Things you want to share that we didn't?
Yeah,
I
something we missed.
I think that was it. I mean, I just go see movies in the theater if you feel comfortable. I know it's strange in this era that we're in, but like if you feel good to go to a movie theater, go see movies in the theater. It really helps us and helps the industry. And for me, I'm a big lover of that way of watching movies. It makes me happy. But if you're not, that's totally cool too. Watch fun stuff at home. But and maybe just like take a look at the people who made the movies that you like, and if you really like their work, give them a follow on social media, or just sort of like understanding a bit more about not just the actors and directors, but everybody involved in the film.
And as Whitney said earlier, y'all, more residuals get to more people if you go to the movie theater. So if you are safe feeling, if you're more safe feeling, then by all means go, is what Whitney said before and what she's saying now. And she doesn't need me to translate. I'm just adding.
No, I agree. Thank you. But thank you so much for having me on. This is such a blast, and I can't wait to come back again in the spring.
Well, thank you, Whitney.
Thank you, Whitney. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Yes. Don't work too hard and don't watch
and
too
if
hard.
you have time to hang for the after show, please do. If you don't, great. Because I have a few things to talk to you about.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
Yeah, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
But anyway,
other things that would be great, but we'll whatever.
All right, well let's let Whitney go so we can get there quicker. Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you, Whitney.
Love it. Lauren, again, thanks for bringing her to our sphere.
One of my favorites.
She's just fabulous, as you already know.
So, Lauren, let's give you your review of what you had.
Zach, she does not know. We're not going to tell her either.
It's a secret. Only you found out on accident.
Not going to tell her either.
Review. It's time for review. Let's go to. I only have two. Let's see if I can do it.
We're not going to do what are you watching because we just did that for 3 hours.
We did it for 3 hours. So I think
we did it. So review time. I had these two. We had my first attempt at Mad Elf, and I had Santa's Brass, which is a barley wine. They're super delicious. I'm familiar with Santa's Brass. It's delicious and amazing. This one is actually cellared, a year old, and was great. But I might go with first, just because it was new to me and interesting, was Mad Elf. I'm like, I didn't hate it, which is not a I don't like it, but just because apparently it's very polarizing. I was like, it seemed very drinkable to me. Like cherry honey it's great, very light for an 11%, which is a danger beer. A good and terrible way to start.
Say it again, Lauren. You're not mad about the Mad Elf.
Not mad about the Mad Elf. I like that. I'm into that one. Doug, thank you for sharing it. And also, apparently I'm in the smaller camp of being into it. But I liked it because it was new and different and very drinkable. And then Santa's Brass from Drake's, one of my other favorite local breweries, because I hang out there and good people. Gotta love the beer tender folk at breweries. They can make or break some stuff just like servers at restaurants. Love that place. But yes, Drake's was great. But that's my 1-2 for my seasonal high beverage.
In the seasonal, I got Fall Y'all and Bruv.
Yep.
Berliner Weiss.
Got some seasonals today.
Acted like a apple cider. This was a big, nice IPA with a nice malt background, but big hops. And yes, it was released in the fall, but the hops were still there, so we're good. Venture Brewing. Shout out to Simon and Rob. Those guys are awesome.
Thank you, guys.
It's funny. I saw them in Milwaukee, and Rob comes up to me and says, "Yo, what's up with our Daddy Porter collab that we're supposed to do?" And I'm like, yo, have you talked to Simon, who's your business partner? Because he's the one that's holding it up. And then we confronted Simon, and he's like back in the corner. We're like, what's going on? So sometime in the future, I'm going to have a beer with Venture Brewing. Who knows how long Simon's going to hold it up?
Telling us about it.
I can't wait. You'll be shipped some, Lauren, guaranteed.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Gregory.
I can keep that one. So I can keep
it.
Yeah. Venture Brewing, Simon Mechanico, love them. Great. Love it. Doug, let's do it. And
this was not that did not age well. So least favorite. Victory Mary Monkey. This is great fresh. Keep it fresh. Second favorite was the Anti-Hero. I'm not a giant IPA fan. This was very good though for an IPA. Super drinkable. So this was not quite 7%. The other one, this was my favorite, was the You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, which was a rye bourbon barrel aged.
The movie Doug doesn't like.
No, I hate the movie, but a spiced winter ale. So this was very good, very drinkable. So yeah, that's
spices.
Daddy
and the Sorrel beverage, right? The Sorrel pineapple.
Yes. The Sorrel pineapple. Thank
Sorry,
you.
we have
I
Lauren. We gotta have
gasped
Lauren.
at the beginning.
Yes.
That
So
sounded really
actually,
good.
I have to say this was actually my favorite thing. So sorry.
That sounds really good. I mean, I
It's
do
super
also
easy.
enjoy.
I think I need to order more Sorrel since I'm out. So
Yes.
like
If
I
you-
had this so long it stained the bottom of the bottle, which makes me feel like a dumbass because like it's so good. But
Always
But
gotta
it's
have more
shelf
Sorrel.
stable, so it's fine.
You always gotta have more Sorrel.
Agreed.
I have one bottle. I might need to order more still.
Yeah.
Right.
For
But what y'all not gonna get next week is more Brothers and Booze.
No, you're not.
But we will return
Sorry.
New Year's Eve. Or is it New Year's Eve?
Eve,
I sure
Eve.
always forget.
No, it's not New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve.
Eve. Mhm.
It's New Year's Eve. We will return with who knows?
With a plethora of folks.
A plethora.
Maybe Lauren.
Cornucopia of
Maybe
chat.
Lauren. Maybe not. Maybe Daniel Fisher. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Great
Maybe
people.
maybe Whitney Adams. Maybe not.
Who's to say?
I don't know.
Who's to say?
It'll be a surprise.
She's definitely not working. So if we could pry her away from her damn movies, we might be able to, like, who knows? So
She's very
never
sought
know.
after.
Hide the man.
That's true. It's
no one wants to eat at an empty restaurant, so of course, everybody wants to talk to Whitney. Who doesn't? Come on.
It's true.
But
skip a week, back a week.
On that note, from Brothers and Booze, we wish all of y'all a very happy holidays, whether it be solstice, whether it be Christmas, whether it be Kwanzaa. Did I miss any?
Hanukkah.
Whether it be Hanukkah. We'll see you before that New Year's Eve bullshit that doesn't really mean anything. But it's good for gathering and reflecting on the year. So we're going to hear a bunch of New Year, New Me shit coming up. So good for that. It'd just be nice if y'all follow through besides 2 days. Again, my birthday is the 2nd of the month, and half of y'all have thrown away those things, those resolutions, before I even celebrate my birthday, Lauren. They're out the door. But
make it manageable.
Happy holidays. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the host chat stream. Zach. You want to come on, Zach? You are so officially, if you were a guest on the stream in 2022, you are invited to come and
bring it, man.
The end of the year. We'll probably have some clips.
We might not get to your vinyl collection, but bring it. Come on and join us.
Oh, if Zach's on the stream, we're going to get to his vinyl collection. You can't separate them, Doug.
That's fair.
He's going
to show us his shit. That's just the way it is. So
whether we want it or not, it's going to happen.
And we're about to show you is our ending credits. And I said a lot, so y'all take us out. Last words.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us again. It's been another year. Greg and I have been doing this for 3+ years, I think, at this point. And you guys all just join us and hang out with us, and we love that stuff. So thank you all. We love you. Thank you for joining us. And hey, Greg and I say we love each other all the time because it's important. Lauren, we love you too. Please, we love having you on, and thank you for joining us. And I'll be texting about dumb movie shit going on.
Always, please. I love chats with people, and thank you all for having me and telling me the movies that I should watch and letting me book some guests sometimes. I know I've been MIA a little bit because life things happen. But I miss you all, and this is super fun, and I love chatting, and it's great. And it also gives me a great excuse to drink several beverages in one evening.
I have to come back on and say the single soundtrack is one of the best movie soundtracks ever. Really, it really is, Zach. I'm jealous. That probably cost you like $60 though, right, Zach?
Probably. I mean, limited release. We know that's how he buys things. But it's been great. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We will see you in 2 weeks.